this one.
I should water bottle it.
Yeah.
I should put it in a bottle.
Did you buy any one of the new Bivo bottles from VC?
No. You got Bivo bottles?
Yeah, we just did a custom order.
Fancy
They're not.
bottles.
They'll look like this, but they'll be.
Speaking of
They'll be
VC swag, Jay brought over all of the kits. He brought over the first kit with it stitched on there. Jay with the crude Texas outline.
I've never seen
Violent crown on the sides. This thing is all stained, and it's like the first one he got from the guy that made it in Guadalajara. One of the first guys who went to Guadalajara and made these kits. A couple of them handmade.
I've literally never seen.
Well, you'll see them on the show.
Yeah,
we like go through all
learn
of them.
something. That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, Andy Austin has a pretty big collection of them too, but Andy didn't start until like 2000-ish, as far as I know. So I've never seen all of Jay's collection. I've certainly never seen a hand-stitched VC jersey.
It's pretty cool.
So yeah.
Well, the VC part I think it's stitched on, but
they've added their name.
But the name was definitely like hand stitched on Jay. It's all, you had
to probably wash them all together back in the days,
Yeah.
Nobody had their own laundry machine. They were all hand washing them in the stream while they smoked.
I had a great time with Jay.
Jay's awesome. Was that your first time meeting Jay?
I met him on a ride last Sunday. Austin introduced me to him because I told Austin I was doing it, but I never met Jay except for on our emails. And so Austin made a point. So Andy made a point to introduce me, and then we talked while we rode for a while. And then I was like, dude, I got to stop talking to you while we ride because I want you to tell me all this stuff on camera.
Yeah. He'll say it again.
Because he's just like, blah, 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 and I'm like, wait, dude, I want to hear all this, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you got the history of the VC newsletter too.
No, he didn't tell me about the VC newsletter.
He didn't tell you about the newsletters?
No, we didn't talk about that. There was so much just his history of like coming to Austin from Houston and working at these different bike shops and then at freewheeling. And then he talks so much about Austin cycling culture at the onset of it. Yeah. And then to the first time where they got the license for the club to do the race on 6th Street. And then there was just so much richness of all of that. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get to the newsletter. We'll let someone else flesh that one out.
Yeah, you'll have to. You should ask Jay who to talk to because I don't know all the people that collected, edited, and published it. Yeah. And then there's also the famous character, the VC mystery writer, that's worth addressing. But I have a whole box of these.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, I have the physical archive of what's left. I don't. Somebody else probably has copies, but I have some of the hand cut collages, originals. But they used to source photography from Europe. They'd have race reports about what's going on over there. They'd have domestic race reports. They had hand-drawn cartoons from somebody that was usually mocking some element of the cycling culture or world. But it was it's a fantastic resource. We used to have an online archive of them. I need to reestablish that.
That's so cool.
I can send you a Google folder link to look at them.
Jay was a wealth of knowledge, and he will share it about European cycle culture and the different races. And he would just go and go and go.
I know he spent time contributing to that, to the newsletter.
To the newsletter, yeah, I'm sure.
And probably as the editor at one point.
Yeah.
If not, yeah. Anyway.
Jay Bond, that dude's cool. All right, let's see. I looked up. How long have you been the president of VC, or involved in it, and then the president?
Yeah, so I would have gotten involved in VC back in 2016.
2016,
just as riding, and then later onto the race team. And then I stepped into the president-elect role in 2019. Okay. Kwesi Coleman was elected, and then he had to step away to finish his doctorate of physical therapy. So I said, I'll serve here for a year.
For 7 years? You said you'd do it for a year?
Yeah, I said, I agreed I'd temp.
You would temp?
Yeah, well, and then 2020 rolled around. Like, I became president in, like, February of 2020.
Yeah.
And then, of course, March 2020 came around, and we shut the whole club down for COVID. Had to... Various iterations of open and close to comply with local regulations.
Right.
What we felt was safe, and also what the county was advising. And I think that's where I got stuck. I loved it, but so yeah, my 1 year commitment turned into a 6 years.
2016 is when you got involved?
Yeah.
So that's 10 years ago.
So yeah, it was coming up.
And how old are you? I'm
32.
So you were 22. You were a young man 10 years ago. I'm just doing
math.
You are.
Now I'm like, am I 22? Yeah.
If you're 32 now, 10 years ago you were 22. You were a young man.
I was, yeah.
You had graduated from college?
Yeah, I graduated from college. I'd moved back. Well, I moved to California to do some work, and then I moved back to Austin.
Were you a UT grad?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
were you in the cycling team?
I was.
For UT?
Yep. That was, I think I'd credit the cycling team at UT for like certainly my first racing experience, but for, getting me out and encouraging me to do these, longer, more adventurous rides. And then of course I did fall down the racing path. I'm still there, but
you're still there.
It's one element of why I love cycling.
Yeah.
Like it's a facet. It's not all I do.
So we're going to talk about Violent Crown. This will be part of kind of a little series of Violent Crown where we explore that and also Austin cycling culture and community in general. It's kind of like both and. And I asked the robot's part of everything now, about you and about Violent Crown and what it thought would be helpful, useful conversations.
Great.
I'm going to share with you. And then we can see I asked two different robots.
Wow.
It says, David is at the center of a community that balances high-performance racing with recreational joy. There are several themes that you can talk to him about. The philosophy of the fail in cycling, the learning curve, how do beginners and veterans navigate the inevitable crashes, bonks, or tactical mistakes in a race, resilience. Violent Crown has a robust junior program. How does he teach young riders that losing a race is often more valuable than winning one? Community versus competition. The evolution of the club. How does it maintain its scrappy community roots while becoming a major force in Texas racing? The Violent Crown identity. That's kind of stupid. It says Austin has many places named Violent Crown. What does the name specifically mean to the cycling community? Jay Bond already talked about it. The O'Reilly guy, the author who had said Violent Crown for this area, and that's where they got it from.
I mean, some would argue that goes really back to Greek antiquity. Athens is the first city that's written about as the city of the Violet Crown. So,
but they called it this because of how it looks at night, this purple ring around the city.
And Athens gets a very similar atmospheric condition, yeah. And some people would tell you that there are references to Austin being the city of the Violet Crown before O'Reilly. Henry wrote about it.
Oh, Henry.
But I think it's like one reference in a newspaper, so, and they're close to being contemporary.
Yeah.
So Henry definitely popularized it, or seems to have popularized it.
Have you ever been to the O. Henry Pun-Off?
No, I haven't, but I've heard great things.
I went by it one time. It was pretty cool.
I'll say KUT Austin Explained, or KUT Explained, has a whole episode on Violet Crown in Austin. So that's worth diving down to explore if you're truly fascinated.
Okay, that's another one, navigating a changing Austin. Safety and advocacy, with recent reports highlighting dangerous intersections and the push for bike lanes on iconic streets like 6th Street. How does the club advocate for its members? The shared road, discuss the messiness of the relationship between cyclists and drivers in Austin. How do we move past the us versus them mentality? The pain, or we could talk about like aspects of riding, like the pain cave, which what cyclists call hard efforts. Is it spiritual or meditative state found in that level of physical exertion? I don't know. Or connection to the place, how does riding through Central Texas landscapes change a person's relationship with their environment?
Yeah.
These are some ideas that they had.
No, I mean, so far, most of these questions have been, I could talk for a long time about many of them.
Start with the human story, not the club, blah, 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 how he got pulled into cycling in the first place.
Sure.
What cycling did for him emotionally, what he thought it would give to him versus what it actually gave him. And then the why this matters layer, why cycling matters emotionally to adults, what people are actually chasing, whether cycling is really about fitness or something deeper. That's the existential question.
Sure.
Which I believe it does. Me personally, like I think movement is medicine, and cycling is a form of that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Community versus status. Austin cycling culture has a subtle hierarchy dynamic. Ego and group rides, speed performance and status signaling, social inclusion / exclusion. These are kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it's true. Like, who's got the coolest bike, like the fanciest bike versus... There's a couple ways you get status that I see. The coolest, newest bike, right? Which Thornton kind of has had in our latest rides, right? That X Factor bike. It's kind of cool.
It's a looker, yeah.
It's a looker. And then he fits into the next one, which is like strong riders, like the strongest riders get a lot of status. And then I'm vying for some status by being someone who can bullshit on a ride, because I don't have either of the other two. We're just fending for ourselves here.
But your character's on the ride. There's always the storyteller or the joker.
Yeah, right.
Every ride has its archetypal riders.
Yeah. So there's these layers. If any of them, which of them, I think we do start with the human element of who you are, how you got into cycling, and what it does for you. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Starting there.
I'm happy to dive in.
Yeah. What do you think?
How'd
you get pulled into cycling in the first place?
So, honestly, like most people, I rode my bike as a kid, and then there was a long period of my life where I didn't really ride a bike. Sometime senior year of high school, I started working out with a friend of mine, and I'd ride my bike over to his house, and they had a little workout studio in the back. And then we'd finish it, and we didn't want to do our homework, and we'd go ride around Austin at night, like on the Town Lake Trail primarily. And it was great. Like, I was spending time with my friend. We got to explore. It wasn't in a car, and it was kind of like this unstructured time for us to go see the city. And we were just messing around on bikes. So super fun. He became my roommate in college, and another roommate of ours got a bicycle too, and we were all commuting to school. And then when we moved to North Campus, so about 3 miles north of campus, our commute started getting longer and longer. And it just kind of became a part of like what we did. Like, what are we gonna do Friday night? Let's take our bikes, let's go grocery shopping, or let's go, explore a park, what have you. And like, in that period of time, like the bike was just like something you grabbed when you went out the door.
Transportation. It was just,
but also like it's freedom on campus. Like, we could ride it anywhere. It was, a plaything. It was a tool. We used to laden them with, our grocery bags. At one point, the Randall's clerk would call us the Three Stooges, because we'd be stuffing, like baguettes into the handlebars of our bikes, in the drop bars.
It's the middle.
We'd have, like a gallon of ice cream. We're trying to like bike back with it before it melts.
So you were born and raised in Austin?
I was, yeah.
What part of town?
I was raised in like the Zilker Park and Barton Hills neighborhood.
Okay.
So I still live close to there. So, that's always been like, I've had the greenbelt to ride on, but honestly, I never really rode on it that much. It really wasn't until college that I started really exploring the city by bike. And that was where, that relationship deepened, I guess.
Yeah. You were gravel riding. What kind of bike were you riding back then when you were a kid?
Oh man, I had, I think it was a Specialized rock hopper, but standard mountain bike. And then when I went to college, I bought a commuter bike that had, I guess it's closest to a gravel bike these days. It had wider, slick tires, had flat handlebars though, but it was plenty fast and flat, or fast enough on the road. Had a triple chain ring in the front, so I could climb up the hills, and it was but I didn't flat every time I got on a gravel path. So, fine for exploring some of the back roads and alleys in Austin too, as we did. So
you were an athlete?
No, not
an athlete.
No, I was a nerd.
You were a nerd.
Yeah, no, and actually that was, I think there were a couple of things going on. Like all throughout high school, I went to the Liberal Arts and Science Academy here in Austin, which is this rigorous high school, and I was quite busy and academically focused there. And I didn't take time much for sports unless it fulfilled a requirement. Like I had PE requirements, so I did some fencing, and I think I did golf for a semester. I've never played a round of golf in my life, but I got a credit for doing that. But I wasn't athletic, and I was struggling with my weight too. Through like 8th grade, like I think at one point I weighed almost 210 pounds. Just so happened freshman year, I ended up being diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is like an irritable bowel disease. But I lost a ton of weight, dropped down to like 125 pounds from 210.
That's big.
About a year.
Degrees. Good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
wait, you were fencing, back to the fencing and golfing. Were you just doing aristocratic? Was this like aristocratic sports? Did they just have like? No. I just see when you're not on you just have top hat. You're like white gloves in school.
Not at all.
Now it's time for fencing. Who the heck fences?
So the fencing, honestly, I'm not sure why that became a thing. I mean, I know when I was a kid Austin has a great fencing scene here.
I bet they do.
So there was the Texas Fencing Academy, and then there's another one that's like Austin Fencers. It's been too long, but they had multiple great programs for that. And when I was a kid, there was like a summer camp for fencing that I'd gone to a couple of times.
This is like where you got a little pole and you try to stick people with it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you like hold one hand back here, and you're like,
depending on the style that you're fencing, yes. There's foil and epee and saber. Yeah. I mean, as a child, I was like, this is playing with swords.
That seems fun.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. And then also, your relationship changed with that too. But it is a skill and strength sport and speed. But it's also a chess game, and this will kind of lead into cycling too. But I liked it because, you had to be fast, strong, focused, and mentally aware. Like your goal in fencing, particularly, I ended up preferring epee, in which like your entire body is a target, and you can score a touch against your opponent at the same time that you score a touch.
Okay.
So your goal is always like, how am I going to get close enough to you to touch you somewhere on your body with the tip of the sword without also getting tagged.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'd be fast, you'd try to move in and touch them like just on the tip of their toe or on the edge of their hand, and then move back. Or other times you'd be trying to catch them in a series of blade movements and force their blade out of the way so that you could create this opening.
Whoa.
And then you're managing your distance all the time. And honestly, I got out of it because I was doing so much schoolwork that I wasn't sleeping enough, and I was showing up to practice so tired that like I couldn't think enough or think fast enough to keep up with the play-by-play, and it was just frustrating to me. I'm like, physically I can do this. Cognitively I needed to rest more. It's like I can go and practice on my own. But that was there's some element of it that was, I guess you could say it's aristocratic, but like those academies, like they had all the equipment for you, so you paid your fee.
I'm just goofing off. Really.
No, but
it does seem like just a touche,
Yeah, I mean, there was all these other considerations. Like if you did have your own swords, like you had to transport them in a certain way, otherwise the police might stop you on the street for having a sword. A sword, yeah, which is ironic given Texas's weapons laws.
Yeah, I know.
You could get stopped for having a safety
AR-15,
sword,
but not your.
Yeah, but I mean, again, for a kid's program that again, it's a mind and body connection. All of these.
Oh yeah.
My favorite sport. Well, all sports are, right?
And so but then later on, you found out you had Crohn's and you were also overweight at the time. You lost 90 pounds in 1 year, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And imagine that changed your body, and your lifestyle changed in that year.
And that's where that's kind of how I my senior year of high school, when I started getting some time back, and then in college, I started doing much more sport. So that's when I started getting into it. And then cycling, and really my senior year of cycling, at UT with the Texas cycling program. It was the first time like I signed up for a season of racing together and started considering myself like as somewhat athletic, or like for the first time since I was a kid, I was like, oh, I might have some athletic potential here.
Your
like,
senior year?
Yeah, my senior year, both of high school and in college.
Huh.
I found that by that point in both of those careers, like my academics were kind of set. Like, so I felt I had a little bit more time to back off or to choose some extra focus in those years. So for cycling, for me in particular, both those times in my life was like a part of this transitional phase into like believing that I could, have an athletic body or, do harder things. And that's an identity crisis thing. I think there are many people that are less fit than I am that do incredible feats all the time. So believing in myself came a little bit through the sport.
Yeah. Were you doing group rides back then?
Some, yeah. I mean, that's how Texas cycling really kind of fostered. I mean, I think how many people come to the sport, but my group riding really started with, they had a ride called the Shootout on Fridays. It would start at UT's campus outside of Gregory Gym at 4:20 on Fridays.
There were stoners?
No, just a great time to meet. Obviously,
come on, they were stoners.
No, I honestly,
they weren't stoners.
No, we never smoked. No, you can't smoke outside of Gregory Gym. It's no smoking campus. But we
4:20.
I mean, it's college. They were always going to make a joke about that.
Yeah, okay. So they meet up at 4:20.
Yeah, I mean, at one point while I was there, they did get away with putting an image of the UT Tower on the kits with the clock set to that time as a reminder for the ride on Fridays. So the university approved that. That was the great pulling of the wool over their eyes. But that ride, in my opinion, was fantastic.
Yeah.
Smaller weeks we might have 10 or 15 people, but bigger weeks there would be like 30 people coming to that ride.
Wow.
It would include people that were just casual riders on campus, like myself the first time I showed up on my commuter bike, all the way to people that were doing triathlon or had come back from the Texas 4,000 ride, this 4,000
all the way to
mile
Alaska, right?
Yeah. So those folks would come to this ride some. And then we had at the time some elite racers on the team as well. And we would ride up to Shoal Creek. Cyclists here in town know there's a little 3-mile loop in a neighborhood with about 1.5 mile stretch that's straight, very few driveways, has a bike lane. We'd ride there at 10 to 13 miles an hour, extremely accessible speed.
Yeah.
And then they would fly down that 1.5 mile straight away, and there'd be a little sprint at the end.
The Great Northern? Mm-hmm. They would do Great Northern?
Yep.
Sprint?
And they do that anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 times if the weather was really nice.
Wow.
So, everyone was kind of getting in like a little interval workout together.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, everyone would ride back together and it would drop right back down to that, 13 mile an hour speed pace, and then they'd go get, either pizza or burritos together. So there was a social element, there was a training element. If you were fast and you were at the front of that ride, like you were getting really good sprint training. Yeah. It had this repetition because of the loop nature. Like you could sit out a lap. So it was this really welcoming space.
Yeah.
So that was my first like bigger group ride kind of experience. And then I got into the motor group ride from there, which UT and Mellow Johnny's like co-ran at the time, and Paul Goldman was the primary ride leader for that. And like at the time, that was like a transition for me from doing like a 20-mile group ride to a 30 and 40-mile group ride. And then I started showing up on the Violet Crown Sunday rides and doing 50 and 60 miles.
Yep.
So it just it built from there. But all of these communities had these people that were looking out from you. Like we talked about these archetypes on the ride.
Yeah.
Like you usually had a very fast leader of the group that would be sitting somewhere in that first third. There'd be some young guns like pushing the pace at the front, sometimes getting tips from the experienced folks. And then you'd have somebody at the back that was stopping and helping you fix your flat.
Yeah.
And so there were different people in each of those rides that did that, but like you very quickly saw all of those roles. And if you were failure tolerant, you kind of stuck with it. That was my early exploration. I'll say I didn't more consistency in cycling came to me after I moved back to Austin. Like I did a lot of smaller independent training rides my senior year of college. I spent a lot of time riding with a guy named Max Bernhardt, who was just ever so slightly faster than I was.
Which is perfect.
It was perfect. I'd spend 3 hours glued to his wheel or watching him ride away from me. We used to do the dam loop a lot together. I remember the first time I met him off the bicycle, I actually didn't recognize him because I'd spent so much time staring at the back of his head. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is the first time I've seen your face. I've never been able to keep up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm wandering here, but that's kind of how I started falling into group rides, and the racing evolved from that too. Or just
and when you came back, you graduated from UT in
2016.
And what was your discipline?
So I studied environmental science with a focus in biology.
Okay.
So I was a College of Natural Sciences graduate. That program was shared with the Jackson School of Geology and with the College of Liberal Arts. So for me, it was fantastic. I got to take courses from all three of those schools,
cool.
Which, yeah, I am by interest interdisciplinary. So to be able to freely take classes there I really enjoyed. One of my favorite classes was in Aztec art and civilization.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Exactly. And that tied right in with my Latin American water studies course.
Wow.
Which tied right in with my hydrogeology courses. And then I tied that back into my ecology courses. And so I loved that interplay. So fantastic program for me at the time, and it's still a fantastic program at that school.
Yeah. You went to California. You came back, and then you got more consistent with your writing. It became more of a ritual in your life.
Yeah, and honestly, that's when I started writing with Violet Crown. I came back, and I was still enjoying writing and wanting to ride more. And I had a couple of friend groups that I was riding with pretty consistently as well. But the winter months came around, and it was often cold, windy, dark, not the kind of environment that I felt highly motivated to go out and ride in.
Me too.
Yeah. And ironically, I started doing the Tuesday and Thursday morning ride because I figured, well, if I'm going to go out when it's cold or when it's windy, I might as well wake up early and go at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Goodness.
That's how I really got stuck in with the club, is because I would show up with those 30 or 35 folks that were willing to brave fair weather, I'd call it now.
Winter,
but
yeah.
As a beginning rider, very intimidating weather. And once you're stuck into, if you commit to the Violet Crown group ride structure, there's 5 rides a week. It's very easy to keep showing up.
5 rides a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Which one am I missing?
If you count the bagel ride on Saturdays as a
Violet Crown. Saturday, Sunday.
Well, Saturday's got
Tuesday, Thursday. Oh, Saturday has 2 of them: the Violet Cruise and then the bagel ride.
Right. And at the time, and on and off, technically Violet Crown never had motor, but motor it's adjacent. Right. So you always had a good group ride on Saturdays. And at the time too, by that point, my career had advanced enough that I was riding the Mellow Johnny's 100K route, which is another ride that has, if you want to talk about layers of hierarchy, that used to be one of the fastest group rides in town, but it was always run by whoever was the patron of the group that day, either by experience or ability or level.
Yeah.
So you'd have rides where the entire ride was a hammer fest. And then others where, the big man would show up and say, hey, we're going to stay together until we get to this point, and then I'm going to open it up and you guys hang on.
Hold on, yeah.
And then we'll regroup at the store. And then it was always a race back into town to see who could hang on there. But yeah, and then whatever you did on Saturday that thrashed your legs, you'd show up on Sunday with the Violet Crown ride. And if you felt strong, you might push the pace some at the front, or you might go to the back and help relay messages to the front. And if you felt crappy, you'd just sit on the back and spin until, you got your 3 hours in.
I've done the Sunday ride after a bagel on Saturday and felt like, oof. I thought, well, this will be a recovery ride, and it's like never a recovery ride.
That was actually something I think there's still some instances on the internet where it describes the VC Sunday ride as a recovery.
It's not a recovery
No,
ride.
and it's never been a recovery ride.
That's not a recovery ride.
You know, I think back when the club was primarily racers, they did think of the Sunday ride as recovery.
Yeah.
But, you know, for no one is 3 hours recovery.
Or the pace.
And
the sprints happen down south during
sure,
those hills.
And there are some more sprints than there used to be, I would say. But not even the pros are riding for 3 hours and calling it recovery. It was a base miles day. It's always been a base ride.
Good ride.
But yeah, I tried real hard to scrub the word recovery from that title because I felt like it was a little elitist and discouraging. Like if you showed up to somebody's ride that they told you was recovery and it was 3 hours, 50 miles, we had one store stop and had a sprint section in it, and you had a hard time. Like that's a little bit of a bad experience. Like let's drop the word recovery, call it what it is. It's the Sunday endurance ride. It's base. It's steady if you want it to be steady. If you want to push the pace, they have a couple of sprint sections now that they do, which is mostly good.
I think your recovery ride is the Violent Cruise.
I mean, even the Violent Cruise, I mean, it's a slower pace overall, but they do
Marley
hills.
Way the other day.
I mean,
that's not a recovery route.
No, not at all.
Marley Way.
The Violet Cruise is very much a stepping stone to bigger group rides, but they do these challenging hills, and they do so in a way that's approachable, which is, I mean, it's hard to do. They spend a lot of time regrouping, trying to keep the group together, and that's very valuable. But it's also, it's not a recovery ride.
It's not a recovery ride.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have any recovery ride is what I'm hearing.
No.
Because Tuesday and Thursday is not a recovery
ride.
The
cycling coach in me is telling you, like, if you're doing a group ride, it's probably not going to be a recovery ride. Anytime you get a couple of cyclists together, you're going to want to have fun. And
you have to be a little bit.
You have to be a little disciplined to do a recovery ride. And I think for the majority of us too, like, if you really need recovery, you're better suited either taking an off day or going for a walk. Like, you can move your body in ways that are not cycling. We don't ride enough to need to keep the engine ticking over every day, right?
Just stay off the bike for a day.
Take the day off the bike, do some yoga, go for a swim, walk yoga. The dog. These days, my recovery bike days, unless my legs really hurt, are off the bike. Like I will go and do cross training or some other activity at a low intensity, but just something away from the sport entirely.
On a good week, I will ride Tuesday, Thursday for the Tuesday, Thursday ride. And then I'll do truancy today, like Fridays, which is definitely not a recovery ride. It's like rolling sprints, basically. And then I'll do Saturday. I don't know which one. It'll depend on how much I want. Like the bagel ride is a lot. So I'll figure out one, but I'll do one. And then on Sunday. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of riding, which is a lot. And then on Monday, Wednesday, I'll do yoga. But actually, I do strength training on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
So you have no off days?
I don't have any overtraining. We'll get someone else on here to talk about overtraining.
Yeah, talk to a coach.
But the thing is, I really love community. I've bundled community with fitness and with like movement, and I just love people.
Yeah. And I think, at least in my experience, if you're listening to the signals, like your body will tell you when you're overtraining. Most people's lives and schedules force them to take an off day sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Even if you've planned it. So like if you're going out and doing a social ride, it's not taxing the same way as going out and, hammering an interval session.
Yeah.
Right. And then you do have this community side where those of us that are extroverts, you're refreshed by your community engagement and you're fulfilled by that meaningful connection. So
let's talk a little bit about the stepping stone, how someone finds themselves in different group rides, which ones are like beginner. I think on y'all's website you have like beginner, intermediate, advanced on some of the rides.
Yeah.
But Violent Crown rides aside, we can talk about those, but just like the Austin ecosystem of group rides. For me, I did the bicycle house rides for like a year. And most of those were on a surly long haul trucker. And I'd ride, and Tom, Tom over there? He's one of the techs there. Anyway,
I'm sure I could see the face.
I'd ride up next to Tom after our sprint section. I'd be like, Tom, why can't I ever keep up? I feel like I'm strong. I'm out here every Saturday. And he'd be like, it's probably your equipment.
You're riding a 40-pound bike. I mean,
but I would love it. I'd love riding. It didn't matter. I didn't care what it was. I could have been out there in a tank. I just wanted to be out riding the bike, goofing off with people, having fun, and trying during those sections.
Yeah.
And the bicycle house gave me really what I needed to then go to my first, I think Thursday was one of my first rides outside of the bicycle house. I think. Actually, I remember the one, it was in Northwest Hills. I think I went with Trevor from the bicycle house, and I ended up barking at Paulie because when we go down, you know that section where we go down and around the curve to all those fancy houses where they're doing all the construction, and it was slightly wet, and I was going down there, and it's fast. I'm a little scared. Paulie passes me in the across the yellow lines. There's a truck coming. I'm kind of low-key freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, this is scary.
You're saying things that scare me as a ride leader. But,
and I remember going up to Paulie at the end of the ride and being like, man, I was feeling really scared when you passed me like that. And how are you modeling that behavior to other riders? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And Trevor was just mad. He was like, rah, 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 rah. And I'm like, he was thinking, oh, this ride is just full of people that don't know how to ride or whatever. I mean, I shouldn't speak for him, but I remember thinking it was a little wild.
Yeah, I think I talked to Trevor at the end of that ride. Because I think, well, almost every ride you do is going to have some people that ride like that. I wish we never rode like that, but I have also long passed the point where I'm realizing or thinking that I can control what everyone's individual actions are going to do on the ride.
That's right.
So you try to encourage good behavior all the time. That said, I think most advanced riders and people that have as much experience as Paulie, like if there's somebody that's slowing down in front of me, I might make the calculation like, man, it's probably safer for me to pass you on the outside. And I think I can manage the risk with that car.
Knowing Paulie now.
I will say,
no worries about him.
Everyone that thinks that at some point runs out on their luck. But as a cyclist, there's like that. Yeah, you're always thinking you can do that and then reflecting later like, nah, that really... Well, I hope you can reflect later and say, that probably wasn't the smartest.
Probably wasn't the smartest. Not only for me, but for modeling. As you ride more and more, you transcend being a regular rider to someone who's modeling behavior for newer riders, for beginners.
Yeah. And that's something I think that's one of the things if we ever talk about group riding culture as well, is like you have a different responsibility if you're a certain archetype on that ride. You don't have to be that person every day, but by the nature of the role that you're playing or the person that you are, like, you're likely to fall into that role sometimes more often than you're not. Like Paulie was not thinking that day probably about modeling behavior for a new rider. Yeah. He's like, well, Phil's here. He knows what he's doing. Like,
well, he didn't know me. That was my first
time. Yeah, he didn't know you, but he doesn't, make this assumption. You must
he's like, he's fine. These guys are fine.
He's fine. Yeah, exactly. If Paulie was worried about you, he probably would have been sitting behind you still.
And he would have.
And he would have been.
Because I know Paulie. Now, that was one of my first rides with VC, but the Tuesday, Thursday ride and VC in general. Since then, I haven't had that experience really overwhelmingly.
Yeah. Let's go back to the idea of stepping stones in the Austin cycling community. This is something that I have not seen anywhere else in the nation. Austin is one of the best cities to group ride a bicycle in. You can pretty much pick your day, pick your discipline, like whether it's on road or off road, and pick the speed you want to do. And there is a group ride going. Yeah. And honestly, most days you can pick morning or evening as well.
Yeah. So that's mountain bike, gravel ride, or road ride. Yep. You could pick either one of those three, and then you could pick, casual or we're going to hammer it. Right. In any three of those. Yeah. 7 days a week.
7 days a week. And that is truly unique. So, at the time that I started, like there were these social rides that like Critical Mass and the Thursday night social ride. Yep, and those were probably my first group rides that were of the social variety, not the sport variety, but they were still, that's still big stepping stones. First time I rode with 50 people was almost certainly on the Thursday night social ride. And like, again, that was, it's for many people, I think that's a transitional ride from cycling as, commuter or transportation oriented towards something that is recreational or social.
Right.
And then, there are slower group rides in town. There was a Scouter Route ride that Mellow Johnny's was leading back that time. There was a group called the Tank Engine Crew that used to meet. I think it was on Wednesdays that was a little bit more moderately paced. These days, like Team Snack still leads some rides that are more focused on the women's community, but frequently open. Like, I'm not going to have an extensive list of these here.
Yeah,
but there were these ones. Yeah, these no drop social rides or social-ish rides that start you in that 10 to 13 mile an hour range, and oftentimes start at around an hour or hour and a half in length. Like that's your bread and butter. That was what the Shoal Creek shootout at UT was for me, right? So yeah, that's how most people start. And then I think you do start transitioning into these little bit longer group rides. So traditionally, like Motor was a little bit longer, a little bit faster. You might start looking at the C or the B group from Breakfast Club, modern day riding selections, or you start looking at like the VC Sunday ride. And then from there, you start looking at more advanced rides.
Breakfast Club, I think the bagel ride is going to be one of those.
Yeah.
Because Slim or Greg Hall will lead an extra 20 miles.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds like fun. Next thing you know, I'm doing a century.
Yeah. Because he got lost or there's a road closed out there, and he knows encyclopedically where he's going, but you don't.
Well, I just have this, and then I've got the 19 miles there and back to the start.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing. I ended up one level. Like, there's one level of what's the pace, and you said this beginner pace is like 10 to 13.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's duration.
Yeah.
And so the beginner duration is like about an hour, which is about 13 miles.
Yeah.
If you're going 10 to 13, 10 to 13 miles, you're doing 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then this next layer is you're doing 2 hours plus somewhere between 2 and 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's about 14 to 16 mile hour pace probably.
Yeah. You start looking at 30 mile an hour average overall. And then also,
wait, what did you say?
I'm sorry. You start looking at about 30 mile distance overall.
Right.
Sorry. 30 miles an hour. No, I was jumping ahead to the next thing, which is like a lot of times those 2 hour rides do tend to feature some of these elements where like there's a section where people will push the pace, whether it's a hill or a flat. And that's where people oftentimes start to like go faster or push themselves a little bit.
Sprint section.
Yeah, there might be a sprint section.
Or they'll call
or
it
a push.
Hot zone or
hot zone.
What do they call it?
Hot spot.
Hot spot or sprint or
yeah, and every ride has like a little different zone. Like some rides are very informal about it, some rides are very formal about it, some rides regroup after it.
Some rides never
on
regroup. The ride dictate, this is a hot spot now.
Right.
And then the ride, they just like, wait, this isn't a hot spot, guys, but it's too late.
Yeah. I mean, and some rides, like I have a distinct memory of like one of the first group rides I did when I was living out in California. It was the Montrose ride. I'd gone on the B group because I thought that was very sensible rather than the A group. They kind of split and then they kind of merged back together. And we went up this one hill and a couple people tried and they got reeled back in. I was like, well, we're having fun. Like when we hit this next hill, like I'll try. We hit this next hill and I went and nobody came with me. And so
when
I started.
You say went, you mean like you broke away?
Yeah, like I sprinted up the hill, or put in an effort, broke away, and I looked around and nobody had come with me. And this is my first time doing the ride. Like I had the route on my. I didn't even have a computer at the time. I don't know if I had the route. I might have just been following. Somebody yell at me because it was before. Like I think I was just recording on my phone. Anyway, but I pretty quickly realized that probably meant bad news for what was about to happen next on the ride. So, I sat up, the group caught me, and then the next 5 miles into the finish was nothing but, you do this ramp hill, and then you turn across the base of the mountain, and there'd be this crosswind. And you just did that to the finish line. And I went out the back of the group so fast
Because
I just put in an effort.
I'd
burned my match sprinting when, these early people, they were trying on the pre-hill. They were,
that happened to me on
the A group caught us. Oh man.
Bagel rides. We were coming back, they'd go out there to Ware or wherever, and we're coming back and we hit this hill and I was like, all right, bagel ride. There's a lot of people of different age groups, but in the B group, there's some older folks. And I thought, man, I'm still young and spry. And so I crushed it up this hill, and I won. I won the day.
Yeah.
The next thing I knew, there was 2 more hills. It was like 3 hills, and I was like, "What?
Exactly.
I was done here." So then this whole group of people just passed me, and I'm just, where?
Yeah, and that's one of those again. That's one of those foundational experiences in that 2-ish hour ride B group kind of pace experience. I think everyone that's stuck with the sport has shown up, realized, oh, this is a hard part after they've been feeling good, right? They tried to go or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's all that like middle rung of the ladder there. And some people stay there. Like there's nothing wrong. Like 2 hours is a great ride. Having the flexibility to go do 30 miles with a group is very approachable.
Yeah, and it's about 14 to 16, maybe even to 18, 16 to 18 mile per hour pace.
Yeah.
With the sprint zones being anywhere from 20 miles per hour to 25, maybe, depending.
Yeah, somewhere around that range.
If you're on Great Northern, those.
Yeah.
You'll put the hammer down.
You're going to hit 30.
That. Yeah.
And also, like, for transitioning to that next group ride level, I think those hotspots are kind of important.
Really, they are.
Because it's where a lot of those rides are in town. Those hotspots are where you start riding in closer proximity to the riders next to you. Mm-hmm. You ride more in formation.
Drafting.
You start to see, the benefit of the draft is more important. Where you place your wheel is more important. You learn, I don't want to put my wheel there. You see who you trust to be that close to, who you don't trust.
Steady wheels.
Yeah. And then also you learn, mistakes made at 25 miles an hour compound much faster than mistakes made at 18 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that's another. Group rides are almost always going to have crashes on them. I don't think they're necessary or inherent, but I think it's going to happen. But like you expect to see mistakes sometimes in that area, and you hope that people recognize them there before they start showing up on the A-paced rides where, a mistake made at 30 miles an hour in a peloton of 20 or 30 riders can have 10 people on the ground really fast.
Yeah.
So that's another part of that stepping stone is, you're probably going to have a small crash in that B period time of your life. And
you're going to learn.
Yeah, you hope.
And so then I think I had definitely a crash. I had one on one of our rides where Paulie came and jumped and helped me fix the tire. Remember on that turn past the Home Depot when we take that turn when we're on the Circle C ride.
Yeah.
But I'd also, on one of the Bicycle House rides, I'd hit one of those darn turtles.
Yeah.
And went head over tea kettle, and that like put me out.
Yeah, the turtles and the armadillos didn't really exist when I was first starting to ride, and that's probably a good thing. I think I would have had a lot more crashes.
I was just shooting the bull. Next thing I know, there's a turtle in the middle of the road.
Yeah. And that's from an advocacy side. A lot of our riders really don't like those as lane separators because they can be hard to see
and
or easy to forget about.
And the adhesive dislodges, and then now they're in the middle of the bike lane.
Right, or they get run over and they become fractured elements out there, or the posts get broken, and you've got these kind of things that hinder experienced riders. Like to be honest, like no bicycle infrastructure is designed for group riding.
That's true. That's why we ride in the lane mostly.
That is, yeah. We can talk about car culture as well in that, but yeah, I think that overall the safety improvements and the amount of bike lanes in Austin that have increased in the past 10 years have been awesome. There are some connections that I'm still not wild about, and we have lots of opinions about lane separators. I think my preference is for grade separated paths that don't have these obstacles in your way, but those are very expensive to install. So as a transitional time, we'll deal with them and hope not too many people crash. So
the next level of bike group ride, if we put social rides, we're putting like the Thursday night social ride and like there's a bunch of them. You mentioned the pace. It's like an hour, so it's like 10 to 13 miles. The pace is 10 to 13 miles per hour. It's easy. The next level is probably the Tuesday Thursday ride. Yeah, that's you're doing about 30 miles or so. Mm-hmm. And then the next level would probably be like the Sunday ride. You think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd put motor Sunday into that category.
Because you're doing
3-ish hours.
You're doing 3-ish hours. You're doing more like 50 to 60 miles.
Yeah, or even 40 on the low end. Like, I still think there's a threshold there. But really, it's most people like to think about it in terms of time commitment on the bike.
3 hours on the bike.
Around that 3-hour mark, you're doing a long ride. Not a super long ride, but that's that longer weekend ride kind of space.
But you still haven't gotten... So the bagel would fit into that, right?
Yeah. Bagel Plus is a little bit next tier.
Yeah, next tier.
But then that next tier starts to specialize too. Like, you've got the more racing focused rides, like the bagel is a little bit...
If you're on the A group, I don't know, even the B group, the pack closer to the gas station...
Yeah,
it gets a little fast.
Yeah, it gets fast.
I've gotten dropped a couple miles outside of Weir more than once.
Yeah.
Because everybody's ready to get to that gas station and I just can't keep up.
Yeah. But then you've also got like again, that specialization role. You've got randoneering groups and bike packing groups that are going out and they're doing, these like odd axes that are, 100 kilometers for starters, but they might be doing them fully laden, or they might be doing a 200-kilometer ride.
Fully laden means you got all the gear for camping and stuff?
Yeah, self-sufficient. You might have your camp gear or just all your food and water.
Heck yeah, bike camping.
So yeah, but like most people go through that B and maybe into the A group ride.
You're in a different category if you're riding A group on the bagel.
Yeah, sure.
Or even A group on Breakfast Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like those guys are beasts.
Yeah, you're riding hard. And you have to have, you hope you have the skills and the fitness to be there.
Oof.
Because if you get distracted on those rides, like we said, there are consequences to that. And that's where some elitism in cycling comes in. There's this thought that, if you've shaved your legs, you've taken the commitment step of doing that. You're showing people like, oh, you're serious. You ride enough. You've got some skills. I can trust you.
You shave your legs?
Not year round. I do sometimes.
You do sometimes.
I prefer to only shave for racing.
It's shaved legs. It's crisped tan lines.
Tan lines. Is your chain dirty? Is your bike making noise? There are all these things that people are trying to use as snap judgments of your skill and ability on the bike.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's an element of that is related to their personal safety and risk.
Yeah.
That said, all of those are visual indicators. They really don't tell you how good someone is on their bike.
Yeah.
But that's where sometimes people make that aesthetic, elitist mark. Like, if you have a nice bike, you got shaved legs, you look like a pro, maybe you're safer on those rides. But
then the next level is what? Like, I did a MAPS 100-mile ride. Well, for a while I was doing 100 miles every weekend because I was preparing for the Tour das Hugel.
Yeah, sure.
Because I wanted to do the Tour das Hugel. So every weekend I would do 100 miles.
Sorry, I don't mean to roll my rides. I think doing 100 miles every weekend is not much of a training plan. It's impressive, but maybe not the most efficient way to achieve your goals.
Well, I had to do two things for the Tour das Hugel. I had to ride 110 miles in one day.
Sure.
And then I had to ride 11,000 feet of elevation gain in one day.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to do both of those on the same day.
No.
Except for on Das Hugel Day.
Yeah.
And I figured the easier one to accomplish was the 100 miles.
Yeah. But it's at the same time, once you can do 100 miles. And honestly, again, this is where when I think about where people are in their cycling career, my personal opinion is if you can ride for 3 hours and you can finish 3 hours and you do not feel exhausted and you're able to eat and drink well, the only thing that you need to do to accomplish a 100-mile ride is to continue eating and drinking well. Right? Like everything that you have at that 3 hour mark is what you need to get that next distance done.
Yeah.
So, if you ride a century every weekend for 4 weeks before you go to the Tour das Hügel, I think for the average person, you're just making yourself more tired than you need to be.
Oh, you don't need to do it that many times?
I don't think you need to do it that many times. Well, that said, you can do some 4 and 5 hour rides.
I didn't have any professional trainers helping me with this. I just, in my own little brain, I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
But, 100 miles, in my opinion, it's just a number on a board. You can get that physical training load many different ways.
I see.
And you should balance that.
I did do a couple Tour das Hügel training rides where we would do half of it. I did the first half.
Yeah.
And then another weekend we did the second half.
Yeah.
Those were brutal days.
Absolutely. But I think that's actually better training because that...
Probably so. Because I'm getting the elevation.
Well, you're also getting the familiarization with it too.
With the route. And yeah.
Right.
That's true.
And then also that helps you a lot as an athlete or just somebody that's athletically minded in preparing yourself mentally for what's ahead, right?
So what's the next level of group rides? Is it just going on A groups or is it longer rides or is it...
I mean, that, like I said, this is the specialization
so then you
phase.
Specialize.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, but like that's where people start looking at like goal events, right? And that's really, really diverse market here, right? Like the Tour das Hügel is a annual goal event for many people, right?
Right. It's like the cycling
just doing 100 miles is a goal event for many beginners or intermediate
Howard just
cyclists.
did his first 100.
Howard just did his first 100 on the Red Poppy ride.
Yeah.
And had a fantastic time.
Yeah.
Did I have any doubt that Howard could do 100 miles?
I didn't.
Zero.
Yeah,
Zero.
He's
he didn't train anything specifically for it that I'm aware of.
He just crushed it.
But you also look at folks that are going and doing, there's so many fantastic rides. There's the Hotter in Hell 100.
Up in Wichita Falls?
Up in Wichita Falls. That's still the biggest Grand Fondo in America. There's plenty of other categories in that Grand Fondo, which...
Grand Fondo means...
lightly competitive road mass start. Meaning like everyone starts together. They might have a timed segment. They might time you for the whole thing. There might be a podium. There might not be a podium. Oftentimes there's a finisher's medal.
But what makes it grand is that the distance is a metric century or a full century or like an American century.
Man, it's
a long distance. It's grand.
I mean, grand, GRAN. I don't actually know where the history of that term comes from or the term fondo. They tend to be in scenic places. They tend to focus on challenging routes. Things that, to accomplish them or to complete them is an accomplishment, right? And I think that's what separates like the competitive nature of a Grand Fondo from something like a specialized bicycle race where you have like a category and a podium, that sort of thing. And for Grand Fondos, like these are largely like they are tests of your physical abilities on the bike, your mental abilities, your resilience. Some people at the front are pushing the pace. Many of them are just looking to set their fastest time on the course or to complete it.
So then Tour das Hügel is a Grand Fondo.
Tour das Hügel is an all but organization.
It's
Grand
a Grand Fondo,
right? They have aid stations,
and it's organized. It's got a start. It's definitely got
exactly. It just doesn't have the permits and the insurance and entry fees, and
which is probably all important stuff.
Oh, but that's a community-driven Grand Fondo, right? And that's not no knock against that, right? It's different than people that are selecting the Hotter in Hell for a Fondo, right?
Right.
Or even some of these charity rides, Red Poppy ride, the Rosedale ride, the Hill Country ride for AIDS. These are the MS 150, these large charity rides.
Oh yeah.
Charity ride's a little different than a Fondo, but they're also just simply because there's a fundraising component to them that some people find engaging too.
Yeah.
But there's still all of those are in the nature of setting a goal for yourself and planning towards that.
This is what people train for.
Right.
FYI, for all the viewers out there, the Tour das Hügel is a yearly event. It's a 1 day, 110 miles, 11,000 feet of elevation gain through Austin, Texas. It's all the biggest hills in Austin.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it's a hard day.
It's a very hard day.
I trained for it. I did it. I got to right before Smoky Valley. My bottom bracket was like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And then my wheels were all doing this, and I was starting to click in, and I was like, should I keep going?
Yes.
I took pictures. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I took pictures of it. I texted all my bicycle mechanic friends, hoping they'd say, you'll be fine. Although my body was saying, hopefully they say, pack it up for the day. I had two different things going on. But they said pack it up. So I actually didn't get to finish it, and have been kicking myself for a long time because in my mind, I was doing it. Yeah. That was my day, right? I was doing this Tour das Hugel.
And now you have to go back.
I get to go back.
Yeah, you do. You have the flexibility, but you have to.
I do have
this.
to.
This is the thing that I think I'm sure this exists in other sports, but there's this compulsion. Like when you set out to achieve one of these
goal,
things,
yeah.
If you don't get there, like you said,
it's still to be ticked off for me.
Yeah, but at least I feel like if I haven't done that, I want to go back and achieve that element. And
Heck yeah.
That's that resilience to failure. You outrode your bike that day.
I outrode my bike.
And that sucks. There's an element of luck. There's an element of planning to that.
Yeah.
And you did all this training and it didn't work out. That said, you still want to show up and go through that experience again.
I do.
It's meaningful to achieve a full Tour das Hugel. It's meaningful to achieve all of these.
You've done it?
Yeah. I think I've done 2. They don't get easier.
For all of y'all out there, the first half of the Tour das Hugel is a regular group ride, right? It's just, it's Lost Creek and Cuernavaca, or is it Marley Way? But it's not hard. It is hard.
It's very hard.
But people do that as a group ride.
Sure.
That route.
Also, let's not forget, you usually start with doing the high road.
Oh, yeah, never mind. I forgot.
Yeah, you do the high road, and then you descend Cuernavaca, and then you go River Hills.
Mountain. Never mind.
You hit Terrace Mountain after you do Lost Creek. It's not.
Yeah, actually.
It's about double what you'd normally do on a standard Saturday hill ride.
That's right. It actually is double.
And that's the start. That's the first loop.
That's the first loop. But then on the second one, doing Courtyard, and then City Park, and Buford, and, going all the way down. What is the name of that road? You drive all the way down to the bottom of it and then turn around and ride all the way back up to the top. River Place Trail, all of those. It's just, oh my God.
Yeah.
The second half is just brutal.
Yeah. And that's where I thought, from a training perspective for a task like that, sometimes seeing the second half of the ride, important mentally, or can be important mentally. I know when I do Tour das Hugel, and it's been a while since I've done a full one now because I know what's fun for me at the moment. I've done it. I've checked my boxes. Yeah. I will do it again, I'm sure, as long as my body is able. I'll do it again because it's still fun. It's still an accomplishment for anybody in their career. But that second half, you have some of the hardest hills, but you also have this
Smoky Valley.
You have this time between them, right? Where it's early in the ride, the hills kind of come fast and hit you hard, and you're okay, I'm climbing, I'm not climbing, I'm climbing, I'm not climbing. Towards the end there, you have 20 minutes to spin and relax your legs, and then you hit another one. And you have just the time to reflect and say, that's coming.
Yeah.
But if you also if you know it, you can do it. You can climb Jester.
I can climb Jester, yeah.
Exactly.
I can climb Jester.
So if you've made it all the way to you said Smoky Valley,
I was right before.
You were right there.
I was right there.
Right there.
I was at the beginning of the second half. I think Smoky Valley is kind of the beginning of the second half.
Oh, you were just starting.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the second half.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were hitting on your way back in.
No.
All right, sorry.
I missed the whole, I didn't do the dam.
It's changed since,
it changes every year a little bit, the route, right?
Yeah, but it's changed significantly since 2021 or so. It used to return on 360, but now there's all that construction on 360 to expand the length.
So what we're now
you come and climb back over that hill again. So I thought you'd already done all of that.
No, I didn't do. I didn't do any of the River Place Trail, none of the Courtyard, none of all that.
That's for the better. That's for the better then.
For sure.
You don't need to do that part of the ride twice if you.
So what we're talking about is once you're doing these group rides and they're preparing you for something, and in your mind you'll have some goal.
Yeah, I mean, well, some people just stay doing the group rides and just do the social stuff, right? And there's nothing fine with that. Some people pick an event like Tour das Hugel, or they pick one of these charity rides. Some people pick a big gravel race or something like that, or a travel race. So like I think of Triple Bypass. I might think of the Unbound 200. Anyway, many of these domestic ones, or they might pick a European or a South American Grand Fondo and do like a travel experience around one of these events, right? So that's one area of specialization. There are some people that tour and do those things all along, but that's one area of specialization. Some people fall down the racing route and they really fall in love with gravel racing or road racing or triathlon, and they build on all of those elements. And then other people go down the adventure side of the sport, and they try to do these like multi-day bike packing trips or these incredibly long rides, 400-mile rides in a day.
1 day, 400 miles?
Sure. There's a group here in Austin that has done stuff like they've ridden all the way down to the border with Mexico. They've ridden to Dallas. They usually pick somewhere for the favorable winds, and they'll do 400 miles in a day.
Oh my God.
I can't imagine. And I mean, that's my longest rides are around the 200-mile mark, and every time I've done that, I've been tired. I could not imagine. I couldn't imagine flipping around and doing it again. So there's an appreciation I have for people that do that.
Yeah.
And then equally, you've got people like I talked about in the Shoal Creek Shootout. Some of those kids were training. Some of those college students were training to ride their bike to Alaska. Right. They're going to do 50 or 60 miles a day for the better part of 3 months to ride to Alaska. That's just completely different, both from a psychological and physiological need on the bike, right? Like they're just out there.
They're out there. And between here and Alaska, I think there's mountains.
Yeah. They separate out into 3 different routes there, and one of them goes straight over the Rockies.
But they got some easier...
I don't know if they're really any easier. One goes through St. Louis and then comes back across, and then
oh my goodness,
I think they call it the Ozarks route. And then there's one that stays south and goes through Arizona, and they go through the deserts route.
You're going over some hills, though.
Yeah,
you're not getting there without doing some elevation gain.
Exactly. But yeah, so that like in that specialization phase, right? And it starts earlier or later for plenty of cyclists, and plenty of people like bounce around between them. But I think, generally speaking, that's where people have some sort of deeper connection to a goal event or a thing that they want to tick off and something that they're chasing, right? And I think that's where people start really having strong goal setting for these or major goal setting, right?
Yeah, training in some kind of training regimen or something.
Yeah.
What did you do? Where did you go? You did the group rides, then how did you specialize?
I mean, the first commitment I had to that really was telling myself that senior year of college, like I was going to go and do all of the collegiate races available in our Southern Collegiate Cycling Conference.
So how many races is that?
I think at the time there were 5 races. They were all weekend races. They were usually hosted by one of the universities in our network. And
weekend races meaning you race on Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Road races?
So usually there'd be a time trial, a criterium, and then a road race. And
all 3 of those on a weekend?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they were super cheap, super accessible. Like I started off as a D, which if you're familiar with the road cycling categories, there's category 5, which is like your beginner level, and then there's category D was below that. So it's your super 6, your very beginner oriented group. And then I graduated up to C, which is like kind of a 4-5 ability level. But I committed to doing a season of that because I wanted to see.
And you did all 5.
Well, there were some ups and downs in that, as there always are. But that was what I was.
Your commitment, you had a commitment, and you might not have met that exactly.
No, but I made a financial commitment. I paid for all the races at the beginning of the year through the Texas Cycling Group.
Yes.
And I said I'm going to go do this. So I went to Arkansas. I went to Wichita Falls, down to Texas State. Did all those races. And I'm sure there are more that I'm forgetting about. Oh, A&M used to host a race.
Same bike for all 3 events?
Yeah, which in collegiate was intentional.
Okay.
You had to race the time trials in a style that they called Eddie Merckx. Some of them also had a team's time
Jay
trial.
Bond loves Eddie Merckx.
Oh, sure.
He calls him the cannibal.
The cannibal. Yeah. He is a very impressive rider. I'm not going to...
Yeah, that's what he said. He loves him.
Exactly. So he's got if you ride a time trial Eddie Merckx style, it just means that you're riding on a standard road bicycle. You're not using, aero helmets and stuff like that. In college, that was a way of leveling the playing field.
That's cool.
You just needed to have a bike. The same bike. You didn't need to bring 2 bikes. You didn't bring 2 helmets. You didn't need a time trial suit or any fancy equipment. Like, you just showed up with the bike. And then a couple of those events also had teams time trials, which I really loved. You had like a 3 or 4 person team where as a group, you guys tried to complete the course.
You're riding pace line or something?
You ride a pace line. And
I think that sounds cool.
Yeah. There's nothing quite like feeling, if you've practiced with a group and you get attuned with everyone, you hit this stride, and there's a moment where you just feel locked in.
I think that'd be like a band,
teammates.
like when a band is really everybody's listening to each other and they're grooving and you're feeling it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what it would be like for a pace line to go 30 miles or 40 miles at like a good solid pace.
Oh yeah,
you'd be like, we're grooving, man.
Yeah. There's this feeling like you come off the front and you've done a big pull on the front, and you'd like all you have to do is save that energy and get back in the back of the group. And when it's all just flowing right, you just kind of snap back into that spot and you're like locked in. And of course you're just going super fast. It's a great feeling. And I loved that. I did that with a couple of different groups of people in college because you're always trying to figure out what your team is at that event.
Yeah.
But actually, I used to do that a lot with 2 guys named Max Bernhardt and Max Granat were my favorite teammates. That were all about the same pace, and we'd get locked in, and it was super fun. So anyway, that was what I committed to doing at the time, and that was for me. Like, I was exploring racing. It was super fun. I had my ups and downs in racing.
Had you ever done it before?
Racing?
Yeah.
I'd done 1 race prior to that season. It was
so you went all in.
Yeah. Well, I had a good time.
You had to do it at some point, right?
I mean, you
go from not racing to racing, and this was...
Yeah, that was I wanted to see it all. I was enjoying riding my bike. I'd been riding more. I felt like at that point I'd owned a road bike for a full year, and I felt like I was in the groove. I think I got my first bike fit, so I felt like extra good on the bike too. It was just that was... for me at the time, like an excellent goal setting experience. And, I think my first road race, I think I got a flat in the first 2 miles.
Oh,
yeah. But then I fixed it with the toolkit because I told the guy in the wheel truck, like, no, it's against the rules for me to take a wheel because I didn't bring one to share with the group. So I had pulled out a flat kit on the side of the road and patched a tire.
What, they would have just given you a wheel?
Yeah, they would have just given me a wheel, and I should have listened.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't know what would have changed the outcome, but it would have been...
it would have been cool. Just throw a wheel on and keep going.
It would have been a much better idea. Yeah. I learned a lesson that day. If the follow car is offering you a wheel, just take the wheel. Just take the wheel. I mean, they were
going through the rules.
Yeah, no, they were yelling at me like, "Take the wheel. We have enough." And I'm like, "But the rule book said no."
Come on.
Come
on, Comer.
Come on.
Take the wheel.
But I was also racing with a flat kit, so I could fix it and a little CO2.
You were a big boy.
Exactly.
I'll fix it.
So I think I ended up chasing. I caught up. There were some high schoolers out racing, so I caught up with this pack of high school students, and I was riding with someone. And then I flatted again, and then my race caught me on their second lap. And I climbed back into the same truck that was offering me the wheel before because they said, you want to ride this time? And I said, yeah. And then I watched the finish of the race I should have been with.
How long is the road race?
Man, I think that race was like 15 or 20 miles.
Okay. So
it was a very...
Yeah, that's reasonable.
It was very accessible, right? And I think that's...
So that's like 45 minutes, maybe even less, depending on their speed?
I still think it was about an hour, but...
An hour? You think they're doing 14 miles per hour in a race?
Well, no, I think it was closer to 20 miles. Okay. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah.
For sure. Maybe it was 22 or something. I could go back and look at those Strava files. Which if you are an experienced cyclist and you've not gone back and looked at some of your earliest training rides in a while, I think it's a humbling experience. I used to think like I'd go out and I'd crush rides at 15 miles an hour. And I went back and looked one time and I was like going out solo. Oh no, I was doing Shoal Creek loops at 12 or 13 miles an hour solo and feeling really good about it. I think it was just kind of a funny to be confronted with that as you get better than you rewrite your own history.
That's right.
But yes, that was my first racing experience. But what I knew that day was that I felt like I could have raced harder. I think one of my teammates that I'd done a team time trial with earlier in the day ended up doing quite well in that race. And like, this is the beauty and the tragedy of cycling. Like, I felt like if I were in that race, I would have done well. So when that opportunity came around the next year, I said, I'm going to sign up for all the races. Like,
you did it again.
I felt like I had the ability to do it, and I thought I was going to have a good season.
All five.
I had a pretty good season. I enjoyed it.
How different are those three disciplines? Time trial, criterium, and road race.
I mean, they're all within the field of road riding.
They're all road rides.
Yeah, and it's very many riders can be good at all three simultaneously, depending on how you ride.
Do they take different strategies, or is it?
Yeah, and I think that's largely a differentiator.
Because time trials, you're either by yourself or with your team, but there's no one else you're trying to catch up to or stay with. It's solo. So or a team.
Yeah, in a time trial, it's you against the course and the conditions, right? Or your team against the course and the conditions. And your strategy is your pacing. And you're, to a certain extent, like how you pace it, and then how strong you are is the differentiator. Mm-hmm. And then also, if you can contort your body into a more aerodynamic position, or if you can, in larger time trials, like we have the Texas State time trials coming up soon, where if you're not in a Merckx category, you can use the fanciest aero equipment you want. In the multi-sport category there, they have these triathlon bikes that look like something that came out of the Tron movie.
With they'll
be
flat.
Y shapes.
Helmets.
Alien helmets, that whole deal. But that's all. I think people that are driven in that space are driven by, being able to put yourself in that box, like in a really uncomfortable effort level space and staying there. And then also, depending on the course, you might be managing hills or corners. And there's a surprising amount of strategy that can go, or wind. There's a surprising amount of strategy that can go into it. Like the first time I signed up for a long time trial was actually in 2018. I think it was. I was coming back from a major accident. So I told myself the time trial will be safe. It's an hour effort. I can train and do that. Jay Bond loaned me his time trial bike. But I went out that day. I think I did 270 watts for an hour. My teammate did 250 watts. He went like 2 minutes faster than me. He paced it much better. There was a strong headwind on the way out. He killed himself, and then he just relaxed basically on the way back in. And that was the better pacing strategy. So you have to be willing to optimize all of those variables, train to the course, and then execute on a race strategy to put together a fantastic time trial. So there's part of it's is brute strength, part of it is how much you're willing to spend on getting aerodynamic, and then part of it's putting that together and executing on a race plan.
What's the distance for a time trial?
It highly variable. Yeah. On the classic road racing scene in Texas, you had things as short as like 8-minute prologue time trials, which is a very different effort than
8-minute prologue. What's that mean?
So it's usually
it's not a distance. It's a time trial.
It's a time.
How far can you get within a certain amount of time?
No, it's a fixed distance.
And then
prologue often just means the first part of a stage race. So if you're doing a an event that has multiple events in it, right?
Yeah.
If the first one is a short time trial, it's kind of like an exhibition. You might be using it to seed starting order in a criterium, or to get some time splits before entering, the next part of a time-based stage race.
First day's time trial, second day's criterium.
Yeah, or maybe in the afternoon it would be the criterium.
Yeah, because you have to do 2 in one day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you beat yourself up on that time trial.
You might. I mean, if it's 8 minutes.
8 minutes not long.
So that's
not long.
Yeah. So that's kind of at that one side of it, and then you go all the way to the longest time trials. I mean, if you're a triathlete, you look at 100-mile TT in some of these Ironman ones, or you look at like the Xterra triathlon series where they're doing these huge mountain bike rides.
The bike riding section of a triathlon is a time trial.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't draft.
Yeah. So most of the time in the sport of road cycling, your longest TTs are about an hour in length, or 25 miles is kind of considered the championship.
Which is a half Ironman.
I can't remember.
Is it a half?
It might be no, it's the Olympic distance.
Don't hold it. Yeah, that's the Olympic. That's right. That's
40
the
kilometer.
Olympic. Right.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So that tends to be longer. I think a lot of time trials for amateurs these days tend to be closer to that 20 to 30 minute mark, which is, you get a pretty good idea of what you're physically capable of at that power level over a 20 or 30 minute TT. When you're going out to the hour beyond that, you're just kind of looking at, okay, how long can you really hold that effort level there? And that's where it becomes a little bit more of a mental battle. But also physical, like have you trained your core enough to hold that position for a full hour? I always know, like at the end of a hour-long TT, I can barely walk. So telling me I need to do more yoga. But that's the time trial. Criterium racing, I mean, it's one of the most popular disciplines in America right now.
The driveway.
The driveway is a good example of that. There used to be all kinds of crits all around Austin, but they're typically characterized by shorter courses. They're very spectator friendly. Oftentimes they have sharp corners on them where the group might slow down or have to slow down. Sometimes they have a hill, but you end up with this spikier power profile. So really good criterium riders. Well, and there's also these intermediate prizes that they call preems throughout the race. So it tends to favor riders that are a little bit more powerful, that can do these sprint efforts and that can do them repeatedly. So, but again, like your time trialists, if you're on a team, still have a role to play there in the field. Oftentimes your time trialists keep the field's speed high, and then you let your specialists and the crits, go and take this tremendous amount of risk through a corner, which is the other element of criteriums, is kind of this high risk cornering ability or high speed cornering ability.
Because you're at the threshold of, I guess, the tire's stickiness to the road.
Pretty much,
because you're going to slide out at a certain speed plus turning radius.
Yeah.
Right? There's some math there.
Yeah. Eventually you run out of space.
One
of those three things.
You can't do 90 degrees on bikes.
No.
It's a curve.
Yeah. So the best criterium riders in the nation, like they have this intuition for the limits of their bicycle in different conditions and on the course. They learn the courses really well. They have this snap in their legs that makes them capable of moving through the field and putting in these efforts. And that tends to be what dominates those races. And it focuses on, these are primarily like your sprintery types.
Sprint type riders.
Yeah. And there are some specialty criteriums, like you look at Tulsa Tough's Crybaby Hill, where it tends to favor a hill climber because it has this pretty difficult hill in the middle of it. But largely these are flatter courses that favor the sprint riders.
How long are each criterium event?
So again, beginner criteriums are like 20 or 30 minutes in length. And then professional men and women are racing closer to the hour and 20 minute mark.
And they're burning the whole time, right? And then there's a sprint.
Yep. Yeah.
There's different types of criterium, but the one here is you're setting a fast pace, bell rings, who's the first one to finish that lap?
Yeah, that's called a preem lap in the middle of the race. They'll ring a bell and there's a prize for the first rider or the first two riders. And then as you're racing for time until they calculate how much distance you have left in the race. So the referees will basically figure out what speed the group is doing, and then anywhere from 10 to 5 laps to go for the local stuff, they'll bring out these lap cards. So you'll pass the finish line. There will be a card that says, you have 5 laps to go. And then they'll give you the bell for the final lap. And then you're 1 to go. And
the winner is the person who has the smallest amount of time for the whole thing.
It's the first person across the line. It's very simple. Yeah. And then road racing is the most diverse of these 3 disciplines. So road racing courses might be flat and they might favor a sprinter. They might be windy, and so they might end up favoring like a time trialist, or they might feature hills or mountain climbs that make them something for, a climber.
What did Jay call them? The climbers, he gave me a French word for it.
Grimpeur.
Grimpeur.
Yeah.
Grimpeur. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, your grimpers,
your mountain climber.
Oh, what do they call there's plenty of other.
The roller.
Yeah, your rollers.
He said roller.
And your
grimper,
puncher.
Your puncher. And your, there's one other.
I forget what they called the sprinters.
I think he called it just sprinter.
I think he just called them sprinter too. I was trying to think, like, there's got to be a French word for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have this tremendous amount of diversity in the road racing, and then they're long, so they become this chess game of energy on the bike. And this is where when I was talking about fencing, like, this is a mental strategy for groups of, when you're going to use your energy on a race that might last anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours, or the longest races are 7 and 8 hours.
6 hours. So that's 100 miles, right? I mean,
over 100 miles for the professionals, but the longest amateur races tend to be around the 100-mile road mark. So some people, they'll try to go early and hold a consistent effort all the way to the finish. So your breakaway specialists there, your time trial riders there. If the course is rolling, you might have a rouleur or a puncher, or somebody that likes these punchy efforts that tries to separate themselves from the group. And then, of course, you've got the guys that are just going to sit in the entire time and wait for that final sprint if it gets there. And that's where, like, you have this team dynamic that plays really strongly in there. Like, if they feel like they can win with their sprinter, like, a team will try to keep the group together, and they'll make sure that they go easy enough over the hills that their sprinter doesn't have to do too much work. And they'll bring back anybody that went away on the hill, so that the group comes together, and then they'll try to put their sprinter in a good position as you come into the finish line.
Lead them out,
right? And there's plenty of strategy to good lead outs too. That's an oversimplification. Some races have like a big hill a few miles out from the finish line, so people will try to like hit that final hill hard and do this kind of pursuit style effort to get to the finish line.
Oh, that's got to be
brutal. But that's where, like, there's an element of storytelling to road racing that, you got to know what story your body likes to do, or what your team likes to do, but you can play with that out there. And the best road races have, somebody trying each of these three strategies, and you or your team trying to execute on something and trying to figure out, who's feeling good, who's feeling bad, what's the other team's strategy, what are they doing today, how are we going to respond to that? And so that tends to be, again, I'm dwelling here for a long time on road. This is one element of racing, but that's the stuff that drew me to road racing.
And that's Violent Crown for the most part. Y'all do mostly road races.
Yeah. I mean, so we have, for those of you who don't know, if we're talking about Violent Crown here, like, we have a core of recreational group riding and about 400 members that participate in that. And then, I think we estimate around 1,000 riders or more throughout the year that just join our group rides at some point. And then we have racing teams for men, women, and junior racers. Our team elements there are really focused on development. Like, we want people to come and explore the sport and find love for it. And then also to participate in some of these team tactics. And we really like focusing on what teams can do together, because your power as a team is greater than your power as an individual. And then also you have these opportunities to help other people succeed or to celebrate the success of others. So, you can have a crappy day and still have a win for the team. You can ride out of your mind for your teammate and not even finish a race, but still have contributed significantly to that experience. So it kind of brings something to everyone. And then our teams tend to be we're in the category 3 and down space primarily. We do have some category 2 riders, but we tend to focus on people that are really interested in helping others and improving themselves. So that's, as a cultural element, like, I like watching other people improve their abilities and to set these goals and then succeed. So we do a lot of that on the road at Violent Crown. We also have time trialists, and we also do cyclocross as another specialty of ours, the last couple of years at least.
I know you're a big fan of cyclocross.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of both road and cyclocross, but there is nothing like cyclocross for improving your fitness and skills on the bike. I also really like time trials. It's a time trial on dirt. You might slide around, but I can't tell you how many times I've almost crashed on my road bike, but saved it because of skills that have become innate in cyclocross, and you can learn some of those skills and program them into your body at 5 miles an hour on a cross bike in a park. And then you might implement them at 25 miles an hour on a group ride, and you are very glad that you saved it and didn't end up on the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, but for me, the cyclocross side is also about like the repetition and this opportunity to perfect your craft. So cyclocross sees the same course over and over and over again. It's kind of like crit racing. It's kind of a dirt crit, but you will see the same technical challenges multiple times per lap. You are trying, like in a time trial, to pick your fastest line through them.
Perfect it, the line.
Yeah, so you're going for technical perfection, and you have the opportunity to try again every lap.
Yeah, I like that.
So, and then you get some practice in there too. But
you're
I love it.
Fine-tuning it.
You're fine-tuning
it the best possible for my body, my style.
Yeah.
And then you do it the same way.
Exactly.
Once you've said, okay, this is the best way for me, you just execute it.
Yeah. Well, but also like equally, you might get locked into a battle with another rider that's similarly paced or similar skill ability level, and they might be doing something different. So you might try to copy what they did on a lap, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes you find a good line and you try to hide it from them until you can, exploit it later for benefit. Sometimes they're saving something that, they'll pass you in an area where you thought there was really only one line, and they've got some secret cut through the roots on the side, and you'd be like, oh man, I didn't know that was there. So yeah, there's that's what really entices me about that discipline. But we also have a lot of people that race mountain bikes now too, like cycling
in Violent Crown.
Yeah, there's a good number of mountain bikers in Violet Crown.
Okay,
mountain bike riders. That's also a growing sport too, just nationally. And a lot of our junior riders are joining us from NICA club teams. That it's like this.
Yeah, I
high school.
Mark DeRoy, and he said a lot of the juniors were mountain bikers from the past, like they used to be mountain bikers.
I mean, they're still mountain bikers. That high school league has been one of the most transformational like advances in American cycling in a long time. They have high school mountain bike teams that started about 10 years ago. And they're participatory in nature. Like they're no cut. Like any high school student can join those teams and go to these races. And they do all these local race weekends. So it's a fantastic way to get people out and get them involved. Mm-hmm. But also like the front end of those races are getting very fast. And now those kids are coming over onto the road where there's a little bit more opportunity. It's often perceived as in terms of, an athletic career on the road side of things, or you need to have that component to stand out as a rider. So they're joining clubs like Violet Crown, Super Squadra, and really trying to flex those skills. Or Texas Devo is another one that does a lot of mountain biking and road riding. But that's where American talent is being, developed oftentimes these days. There and in communities that are fortunate enough to have a track program, because there's a safety element too. A lot of parents feel safe sending their kids to go, a mountain bike race, but not to go ride on the road alone.
That makes sense.
Or to a velodrome where you have all these. Most velodromes have a really good developmental program for children. So they'll have coaches, they have weeknight races, training.
We've got a veloway, but we don't have a velodrome. What's the difference between a velodrome and a veloway?
So the veloway is in South Austin. It's a dedicated cycling track. And that's the other thing. Like a lot of our juniors come from South Austin because they do
the veloway.
Yeah. You have this purpose-built cycling track.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
It's a cool little
safe.
track.
It's right there in the neighborhood. So a lot of kids are able to get out there and ride it. Velodromes are, they're like they're the track version of cycling. And the racing is called track too. It's in a stadium, basically a purpose-built cycling stadium. The distances vary based on the size of the cycling facility there. Some of them are 800 meters in length, and some of them are 400 meters in length.
It's an indoor track.
There are indoor and outdoor tracks. The one in Texas is a concrete track. It's outdoors. Is
that the Houston one?
Yeah,
the one that
the Alltech Velodrome
raised the $398,000 after he busted up his eye and his shoulder on the first stage of the Tour de France and raised a ton of money.
Yeah. And Lawson was a member of their junior development program at the track there. That's why he kind of selected that.
Wow.
And it being an outdoor facility in the Houston area, it suffered from, exposure to the elements, but major floods have impacted that track as well.
So that's the velodrome.
That's the velodrome world.
But again, it's different from away. Because what is the velodrome? Was there a difference between a velodrome and a veloway?
Yeah, I mean, a veloway is like oftentimes it's just a park. A velodrome is usually like a dedicated training facility.
Okay.
So like most velodromes do not allow everyone to access. You have to go through a track accreditation practice.
Okay.
To learn the rules of how to race there, and then they organize stuff. Most of those tracks do something that's free or low cost, like they're not super expensive programs. Oftentimes they have a track bike rental program too. So just like on the road, there's this accessibility component that they dive into. But it's almost always controlled access, and there's certain hours of programming for what's going to be going on on the track. Sometimes it's free riding, sometimes they'll be practicing a certain kind of racing style, and then of course they're closed during races. But most facilities have a good schedule, and there might be activities every night of the week at the track. So again, if you're looking, for Americans looking for safe cycling opportunities, and if you're comparing cycling to other sports, right? Our stadium is oftentimes on the open road. Track facilities, your stadium is a closed area, so they have that ability to really do condensed programming for students after school hours, which is a huge benefit, right? Find me a school soccer team that doesn't practice, together 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Right.
That's really important.
That's really hard to do in road cycling. But you have a velodrome facility, you have a veloway style park in your area. Those opportunities expand tremendously. So
back to Violent Crown, half of it seems to be this recreational riding piece, which is the group rides. You said about 400 members are a part of it.
Right.
And about 1,000 plus people come and join those group rides that aren't members, but anybody can come to the group rides. You don't have to be a member to attend.
Correct.
And this is probably not true, but anybody can also get the discount on coffee if you've got a kid on.
Yeah.
But you should probably be a member.
Yeah, about once a year we push membership. So
I think I've probably saved coffee discounts. I've saved what it would cost to be a member, and I should probably be a member.
You're not a member?
No.
Oh man, I just assumed you were. We were very fluid in our membership. Yeah, so if you want me to
I should be. I've saved at least $40. It's $40.
Sure. I mean, if you come to a club meeting, you can eat $40 in pizza very quickly too.
Boom. I've saved $40 in coffee already. There's no...
Sure. So our memberships are real stiff. $45 a whole year. We're 501c4 nonprofit. All of that money goes back into either our junior programs or our community rides. I'd like to think that we spend the money very well here.
Heck yeah.
Supporting the local community. And at $45 a year, I think it's a great value pitch. Yeah, you get some access to these savings and discounts and stuff. But I always tell people for me, become a Violet Crown member when you want to feel like you're giving back a little bit to the group rides or the racing team or junior support or the 4th of July ride, the winter tour. If you like benefiting from those things, consider signing up. For $45 a year, it's a no-brainer.
I benefit tremendously from being a part of the group rides and the community there.
Yeah,
and just to give everybody a little bit of an idea of the spread of membership into a cycling group. I looked today to be a member of the Breakfast Club cycling group. It's $400 a year. $399 a year. So that's one example of a club membership. And then Violent Crown is $45 for a year.
Yeah. I mean, and that's an explicit choice for us. We are a participatory group, right? Our role in the community as we see it is to promote the sport of cycling, and we want to have this broad umbrella. We want to have people of all ages. We want to have people of all abilities. We want to have people of all disciplines, and we want them all riding together because it's beneficial to the community, right? We also we like that diversity.
Yeah.
So for us, like, we don't hide a lot of stuff behind this like access tier of membership, right?
Yeah.
We want you to come out. We want you to feel like you can show up in any kind of jersey. We want you to show up on a working bicycle. That's one of our red lines here. We'll help you get a working bicycle if you need it too. Like, lots of people show up and we're like, man, you need to take that bike over to get serviced. Or, we'll pull them aside and tell them like, hey, this is the first day of the winter tour. You need some new tires if you're going to do all 12 days of this, right? But yeah, that inclusion is like, that's who Violet Crown has been for much of our history. And I'd say, like, to be more explicit about that and to really transform the club to looking that direction really goes back to the presidents before me, particularly a woman named Yen Win, really started advancing that side of open club membership and really trying to solicit. So credit Yen there for starting that. And I think all I've done is be slightly more intentional about that and communicate it over the last couple of years. But yeah, that's what we like doing. So, don't join Violet Crown and expect that the benefits are going to pay for themselves or that there's going to be some.
They do. The coffee.
I think it's a good value, but it's not.
It's a tremendously good value.
Yeah. That's just not our vibe.
We're not selling. Do it though. You don't need to do it. I've never been pressured to. Well, Paulie's pressured me a little bit. Paulie's hassled me a little bit to join. But I just think that's Paulie.
We would love to have you as a member. We're never going to ask you to show your membership card.
Right. And that's the same with, I mentioned Breakfast Club. They're also,
exactly.
Come to the rides.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. The rides are inclusive. They're inclusive of everybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a member to come to any of the Violet Crown rides that I know of.
Yeah.
They're all pretty much come as you are. Well, with a working bike, obviously. We can't stress that enough.
We do.
Working bike.
We do a lot. This is another thing that I like about Violet Crown is pretty much all of our rides. If you have a flat or a mechanical, within reason, we stop and get the whole group to fix it.
Yeah.
That's something that doesn't happen on every ride. It's one of the things I'm proud that we have a number of members. There are always people that stand out here, but like I love that we stop together and fix mechanicals. I think that's a good thing about camaraderie and about keeping groups together and making it feel like part of a community. There's a red line to that, which is when you've shown up with a bike that's not prepared. So like, what do you need to have prepared? Like, have your bike have a once over, make sure the gears are working, make sure your tires have a lot of life in them, that you've inflated them appropriately. And then please, for the love of God, carry a spare tube or a patch kit, whatever you need. If you're running tubeless, get some plugs or Dyna plugs. If you don't know how to use those things, pack them anyway. We will gladly show you how to use them. But that's where that's the preparedness.
Yeah.
Be prepared.
There's a threshold for attendance that's not going to be enforced on you, but if you come on those rides, you're going to have the most fun if you have a working bike,
right?
That has maybe a clean chain, and these things, and an awareness of the tools you need for repairing a flat. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you break a chain, you're probably Uber's your best friend. But I've broken a chain on a ride and it's been fixed.
So, you'll say I've fixed many chains.
I've
taken links out of chains on VC rides.
That's happened to me. I think it was on a bagel ride or something. Someone came up with a chain break, and next thing you know, like I'm still riding.
Yeah, and that to be fair, like that's the current generation of like popular recreational rider is much more likely to call Uber because it has gotten so easy to do that when you have a mechanical. Some of my best and worst experiences have been trying to figure out how I'm going to fix a bicycle on the side of the road to get us back home. I've hitchhiked. I've taken links out of chains. I've pushed people. Gotten a whole team to push people. It's a remarkable what you can accomplish when you need to. It doesn't need to happen every Sunday, and you definitely expect us not to leave you. We'll probably leave some people with you to help you get there. But don't show up intentionally underprepared. And that's where the other thing is like. We have a range of abilities on all of our rides.
Yep.
I love seeing that. For the most part, we keep those groups together. We're in no drop. If you're really far off the pace, sometimes we'll just leave somebody with you that will go and do the whole route with you, or they'll shortcut a few spots so you still have an okay time in the ride. And then they'll gently tell you, all right, next time, like, do a couple of 2-hour rides before you come here. Right.
Yeah.
We want everyone that comes to a ride to have a good experience. That said, like, we've also told people, like, you're going to have a better time today if you turn around, because,
you're not keeping. Yeah.
This is going to get worse.
Yeah. This is going to get worse.
Right. But equally, oftentimes we're able to take somebody from our ride will volunteer themselves to just say, like, hey, like, let's just go do something a little different, but we'll still end up back at the coffee shop. We try to have that experience.
I've had that experience. I've been that person.
Yeah.
I still remember, and this was with the Bicycle House group, the first time they decided to go off and ride to Maynard and back. And I had that surly long haul trucker, and everybody started just hammering it on those country roads. And I was like, I couldn't keep up. And sure enough, Matthew Tynan, thank you much. You know Matt?
I do.
Matt Tynan. He dropped back, and he and I just had a social ride day, and he was super cool. We connected, we socialized, and I had a ride that was really meaningful for me. And I got an awareness of what was required for those rides, and an understanding that I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I wanted it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do those rides.
I think everybody that's been in the sport for a long time, almost everybody has had that experience, right? And I think if you haven't been that person for somebody new on a ride, like both the mentor and the mentee, have that experience, because you're not having the most fun Saturday ride that day, right? Yeah, you're gonna go somebody else's pace, but you create a bond on those rides. You help somebody, and you'll hear stories. Like, there's people, I don't know their names, but they'll start telling me about how, I rode with them one time 4 years ago and they'd had a bad day, and they'll end up telling me their life story again. I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like, I have no idea what your name is. I have no idea what your face is, but we spent 4 hours together, or whatever it was, 2 hours that felt like 4 to me, but
it must have been a really exciting story.
Story. But
felt like 4 hours.
No, but
I'm goofing.
There are some people that have told me stories that I've listened, but it's felt like longer.
Tell better stories, y'all. Keep them exciting for David.
No. But anyway. I think that's another, like, when you think about communities and what makes, like, cycling a good community, right? And what makes people good community members, like that volunteerism, that willing to step up and be that person for somebody else.
Shepherding.
Yeah.
We're just shepherding.
Yeah.
Right? I still remember one of the first bagel rides where I decided to go on Slim's extra thing, Greg Hall's extra, like, little bump. And I thought, this is going to be fine. Right? I want to ride more. I want to ride longer. And coming up that hill, I started, like, slowly. And they're going. And I'm like, I'm back here, guys. Hey, guys, I'm back here. I didn't yell at them. I was trying to keep up. But after a minute, some guy kind of slowly came back, didn't say much, maybe like, hey, hang on my wheel, and then he guided me back to the group.
Yeah.
I think that happened maybe twice on that ride. Bless his heart. Thank you. I don't even know who you are. Whoever you are, you probably don't remember me. We didn't talk much. You came back, I got on your wheel, and you bridged us back to the group a couple times. And I was so grateful, and maybe felt a little bit like a burden, but I don't think he thought of it as a burden.
No, I mean,
I think he was probably just like, this is what we do.
Yep. Most of the time, like, again, that's one of the things that's also kind of unique about road cycling, is that, like, what you can accomplish with a good group is way more than what you can accomplish as an individual. Yeah. Right. Like, if that group had left you behind that day, you would have taken, an extra hour to finish, right? Or more, or maybe you would have called an Uber.
I'd still be out there in the wilderness today.
But somebody coming back and spending 2 minutes, a little extra energy to bring you back, right?
Yeah.
And then you're able to achieve that again. Like, there's just,
I rode with the group for most of the time. It was just a couple hills. I couldn't ascend the hill and then maintain the pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's, but if you haven't, be that person sometimes, guys. We need more people that are willing to do that. But also, like, again, you learn so much, and also cycling is a humbling sport. What goes around comes around. There will be a day where you need to be sucking the wheel.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that.
There's the recreational side, which is this group ride, this shepherding. We're talking about this all-inclusive, come with a properly functioning bike. And other than that, we're going to help you get the skills you need, the fitness you need to... I mean, if you keep coming, you're probably going to get more fit.
Absolutely.
And be able to ascend through... What the beginner ride for you guys is maybe the cruise.
Yeah, and to be honest, this is one of the things. Like as our rides have grown in the past couple of years, we're looking at adding more B rides that are steadier and a little more beginner friendly.
The Tuesday Thursdays had a B group.
Yeah,
Javier's and Andy, they'll do a B group.
Yeah, and that's great for accessibility.
My machismo won't let me go on a B group on the Tuesday Thursday.
I can tell you, I've gone on the B group recently.
I would have gone last Thursday. I was a solo one-man B group. I wish there would have been a Javier. But most times I'm like, I'm not going to go B group. I'm a big, strong boy.
Sure. Yeah. And
it's silly.
Sure.
Some days I probably need a B group chill ride.
Yeah. And I think most people do. But this is answering the question where I think this is where you were going. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. Like our easiest rides at Violet Crown are still pretty challenging. Like they're still about 2 hours
Marley
long.
Way for a cruise.
Oh yeah,
Marley Way's not an easy ride.
No, and I've had this. Oftentimes we're limited by the number of people that are willing to lead rides, so we don't have a true beginner ride in the club. We look to the other groups in Austin to provide.
You don't
that
have
right
one
now.
now.
No. Now that said, our women's team has been leading a coffee ride about once a month. That's been extraordinarily open and welcoming, and so that's for women and women identifying riders. Like that's been like a beginner ride.
Yeah,
and. To be honest, like they've been a strong recruitment of women into the club through that. That's our women's race team going out and leading a coffee ride.
Okay, so guys, if you need a beginner's ride, we need you to throw on a wig.
No.
Identify as a lady for the day.
Honestly, no. If we wanted to have a beginner's ride, we just need somebody willing to volunteer to lead that.
Yeah, a guy that's willing to do an easygoing ride.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of offerings out in Austin.
There are also a lot of offerings out there, right?
I think the Bicycle House is a great one. I will rep the Bicycle House's ride as a good beginner's ride.
Yeah.
It's about 34 miles, which might be a little longer than the beginner rides that you said, but the pace is, I think, 12 to 14?
Yeah.
13 to 16, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think it's a good ride for beginners.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great shop. It's a great group of people that will help and shepherd people like Violent Crown does.
Yeah, absolutely. I just say like Mellow Johnny's, I don't know if this is still happening or not, but they used to have the Scout a Route ride. I know there are some rides out of the Trek Lamar store in particular. They have an app that they have their rides on.
So you can find these out there. It might not be Violent Crown now.
That's totally fine. Like I said, I'm always willing to listen to folks that want to have those rides, and I wish I had more people willing to volunteer and lead those rides.
So maybe you could be the next one.
You could be the next one. Yeah,
come be.
If you're passionate, come talk to me.
If you're a passionate rider and want to lead a beginner ride with Violent Crown, this is the guy you would talk to.
Yeah.
The next level is the intermediate rides, and that is Tuesday, Thursday ride. And the Saturday cruise.
The cruise can be beginner to intermediate depending on the course they select and your definition of those things. The Sunday ride could be viewed as intermediate, but it certainly starts pushing towards the advanced side. It's kind of an intermediate.
I think it probably is intermediate.
And then
you've got longer duration.
It's longer duration, right?
But still,
again, there's no
pace.
Yeah. It's not going to have the same demands as you as the bagel ride, which is certainly in the advanced
category. I think the
category.
bagel ride is an advanced category ride.
Absolutely.
But you can do it. If you've done the intermediate rides a bunch and you're comfortable with the intermediate rides, I think you can do the bagel ride.
Yeah. And this is the other thing, like cycling is also a sport where like you're almost always having to have a leap of faith before you jump to the next level. So again, be reasonable, but also trust in your abilities.
A willingness to be dropped too.
Yeah.
Get that route on your phone. But they're not. The bagel rides never dropped me. David Sarin has like dropped back and ridden with me as it was like me, him, and one other guy. Oh, what was his name? I should remember. It's probably Jim. There's a lot of Jims, but
sure.
It was just me, David Sarin, and one other guy that was like a bagel ride, B group. And I don't know if they just took pity on me because I was slowly like. They said they wanted to ride slower too,
sure,
which I could also believe.
It could be true. It could be a lot.
Hammering it.
Sure,
I don't care. I was just happy to have the company.
I mean, this 10 years ago, Garmin's were a thing, but we weren't posting routes for the rides, and I certainly I knew about where we were going for many of the rides, but. No one ever left me for dead on a Violet Crown ride. And
I've never been left for dead.
I've definitely been watching somebody in the distance, and then I'm watching them stop or wait for me or see the group around the corner. But yeah, hey, this is one of the things where I do feel like the current generation of riders, everybody wants to have the route on their computers, and I appreciate that. I think there's a faith in the group component that I enjoyed back in the days where I knew I'm showing up for the Violet Crown ride. I'm going to follow the wheels. If I get dropped, I'm going to follow the closest wheel to me, right? Yeah. And I will be okay.
Yep.
And there were times where I'd get back and for riding, I'd be like, I have no idea where we went. And I'd look at my phone's GPS route later and be like, oh, that's where I went. I didn't learn a lot of those routes until the pandemic. There were routes I'd done dozens of times with Violet Crown that I couldn't tell you where the turn was or the road was or whatever. Until 2020, and I had to figure out how to ride them alone. I didn't know exactly where I was going.
I don't load
that element
the routes.
Was fun. Yeah,
I don't load the routes because it's motivation for me to stay with the group. Number one, I'm riding with the group. Wherever this group goes, that's where I'm going. And why else don't I load the route? Maybe because I'm lazy. I don't know. I just don't load it.
Yeah, sometimes I'm going to most of the time you're not going to need it, and I like that commitment to the group.
Yeah, I'm going to commit. Yeah, and that might mean that I need to push it harder sometimes, maybe. Yeah, and I have been dropped on a Maps Century. I did get dropped, and I pulled out my phone, and I was like, "Where the heck am I? I'm out in Creedmoor." It was one of the first times I'd ever been out in Creedmoor, and I was like, "How am I going to get home?" And I figured it out.
Yeah, and sometimes, that's usually the worst that happens these days.
Because you got your phone.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to. I can tell you,
I've had some good rides where I've forgotten my phone or gotten lost or my phone had died out there. But when I've planned those things, well, again, it seems like I like the reliance on the group, and there's also sometimes there's an element of self-reliance. Sometime during the pandemic, I rode out towards Cypress Mill west of Austin. I got to this beautiful vista out there on the super quiet country road. It's about the most remote place you can be in that direction, at least within riding distance of Austin. I had all of my water with me. I think I had a couple tubes, etc. Mm-hmm. I pulled out my phone to take a picture of this beautiful vista. And the battery was dead. And I just told myself, all right, cool. I have 4 hours to go back into Austin. Oh. I mean, I was going to be passing through towns and stuff. I'm sure I could have gotten help. Where I was at the time, one car would pass every 30 minutes or something like that, by yourself. But, there's to unplug for the rest of that ride was fun. And then, of course, Violet Crown being the huge club, as soon as I got back into civilization, I passed 4 Violet Crown guys on Bee Creek Road on my way back in.
Okay, yeah.
So if something had been going wrong, any one of them would have stopped.
That's right.
And any other rider out there also would have stopped, I'm sure.
Riders, my experience of cyclists is they're pretty helpful and good people.
Yeah, and most of the routes in Austin are there's enough riders that somebody's coming along eventually. So I don't always feel compelled to have the route, the cell phone. Should you have those things? Yes. Is it okay sometimes to skip that security blanket and just let the world eat you for a day?
Go old school.
Yeah,
let the
try
world eat you for that. I like that. Just be out there.
Look,
just be out there in the world.
Be out there. Experience it.
And if something happens, figure it out.
Yeah, a little bit of self-reliance.
Old school.
Yeah, and also there's. I'm not advocating for this, but you'll meet people doing that. I've hitchhiked back into Manor before when I've had a double flat and I've run out of tubes. Met a very interesting guy. He gave me a 20-minute ride back into town. I sat in the back with his dogs. It was great. You shouldn't rely on that. Not everyone can do that. It's a privilege to be able to get into a car, but it's also a good reminder that even in these remote areas, the people you meet are good people.
They're good people,
right?
I find, and this could spur us in a different direction in a little bit. I want to talk about Violet Crown more, but I find in the country the drivers seem to be more accepting of cyclists than in the city. And my experience is like they'll give you a wider berth, or they'll just stop and let the whole group pass by more often than they'll be like honking and kind of getting really close to the riders. And they do that sometimes out there in the country, but just a little less often.
I don't know if that's really true. I mean, I feel like I've seen a selection of it all.
You've seen it both places.
But also, like, there's two things I'd say on this front. The majority of people out there that are driving or riding, like, everyone's just trying to get where they're going.
That's right.
The vast majority of people are good people out there, and you're not going to have these experiences. Every once in a while, every cyclist has a negative experience, and you hope it's not that negative. And for the most part, the best advice is always just let it pass. I used to have this mentality like, oh, I'll yell back at the car, right?
You yelled at cars?
Oh, absolutely. I've yelled at cars, right?
I've yelled at cars.
It's never made it better.
No.
But also, like, particularly during the pandemic, when I was riding a lot more by myself, I'd find like a car would cut me off and I'd yell at them. And then I'd spend like 15 minutes being angry at the car.
Ruminating about the thing.
And I think it was Phil Guyman. And if it not, I'll attribute this to Phil, former pro. But he said he had a rule where like he's not allowed to get mad or stay mad about a car until like the third car treats him badly or the third person treats him badly on a ride. And I was like, all right, that's my new rule. Like if I have 3 negative interactions, I'm allowed to be a little upset about it.
That's a good rule.
Otherwise, I'm going to reset and I'm going to enjoy my ride.
You're riding a bike. You're having fun. Like,
exactly.
You're moving your body. Like
my day is going to go on how I interact with somebody else for 5 seconds
and they're
when they
probably
pass
having
me.
a bad day, right? If they're in that headspace,
sure. But
wish
like
them well. Like I hope you move through that.
Yeah. But for everyone involved there, like the better thing to do for your energy is just to
release.
Yeah. By all means, you're like some of those things are scary, right?
Yeah.
Yell, experience your scared self, right?
And I think men, I can't speak for all men, and this might be true for some women too, but my experience of manhood is that instead of expressing the fear of it all, I express an anger.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because it's like fear is a real kind of scary thing to share. Hey, I was scared. I was really scared. Yeah. But it's easier to be like, hey, man, screw you, dude. You blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you scared me big time, bud. Like,
what actually, some of the positive interactions I've had with drivers when I've caught up to them in instances have been like, hey, like what you did was actually, it really scared me.
Yeah.
And actually that human connection has been the thing that actually values.
Yeah, I've done
Or like
that.
one guy was harassing me one time and I caught up to him and he started giving me a hard time for existing. And I just said, the only thing I could think of at the time was like, I'm just trying to get home to my family, right? Like I'm not here to die. And that reset him in a way that,
that's human.
That's human. But I also give this advice, when we talked before this about advice for junior riders or beginners in the sport, like almost everyone gets yelled at some point, whether it's on a fast group ride or in a race.
We get yelled at.
A lot of times that yelling is in fact, the other rider being afraid. Sometimes it's what you've done. Yeah. Sometimes it's some other things. Like I always tell our junior riders in particular,
yelled at by
if you get
rider,
yelled at,
exactly.
Listen to them. In the moment, try to make some corrections, but don't yell back. Right.
Yeah.
After the race, after the ride,
you can ask them for some feedback.
You can ask them for some feedback. You can ask somebody else, like, hey,
what do you think
was that me? Was I doing something scary, or was something else going wrong here? But 9 times out of 10, like you probably made a mistake or somebody else made a mistake. And there was a moment of fear that comes out expressed as anger. If you can't move past that, sometimes people leave the sport. And there are people that are worse about expressing that fear in angry ways that do drive people away from the sport. I'd say if you've had that experience on a ride and you thought, oh shoot, I don't want to go back because somebody yelled at me.
Go back.
Yeah.
It's okay. I've had a couple experiences where in my memory, it's been, it happened on Great Northern. We're cruising and I'm in kind of a pace line-ish, just trying to hang on a wheel maybe. and someone passes me on the right and then gets in front of me before giving my front tire enough room and almost hits my front tire, and I've got to like scoot over for them. And man, that's just, oof, it
and then
was
somebody else
scary.
yells at you.
What's that?
And then somebody else yells at you.
Oh yeah, he didn't yell at me.
It's usually the guy behind you that says, "Hey, hold your line," because you're now moving.
I'm changing things up, and probably slowing down because I've got this thing.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't know if I said something. I might have said something in a moment, or I might have like been able to channel some reservoir of patience or understanding. But at the end of it, at Great Northern, where we all regroup, I went up to him and I said, "Hey, you remember when you got in front of me? I felt really scared when you did that." And frustrated, and it was kind of helpful because at the end of Great Northern, I harnessed the power of that frustration to really smoke you during that last stretch. That's why you got beat so bad there.
Yeah, see, you got it's all going to be channeled back into that competitiveness. But if you can have a positive experience from it, like I've had angry interactions with folks on rides, or not on rides, in races, and I said, "I'm going to drop you," and then I did,
dude.
And sometimes
it's harnessing it for the good, right? Like I'm not mad at him. I'm letting that anger come out in a healthy way of just like, ooh, now I've got something to do here now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always healthy, and I'm not going to hold
him. I was going to share what occurred.
Yeah, exactly.
And then and then playfully have a male machismo thing. I think that's probably what it was, like a male machismo thing. He didn't mean to do it, I don't think. No. He probably just didn't realize how much room he needed. And heck, I might have tried to speed up to get on his wheel instead of having him come over into mine.
Sure.
It might have been something that was very normal.
Yeah. And all those are true. Like it's ultimately, sometimes a rider's going to chop your front wheel, but it is oftentimes your responsibility to protect your front wheel. If you are losing the wheel, you're losing the wheel. You got to put yourself back in a safe position.
That's
sometimes,
right.
You just got to wait. And that's honestly one of those beginner rider experiences. Oftentimes, like people are pushing really hard and they're trying to make those kinds of split-second decisions. Like, do I try really hard to hold this wheel and not let this guy in, or do I like back off and let it in? And that tends to be where mistakes do happen.
There was no one in front of me. I was.
Oh, nobody was in front.
No one was in front of me.
Man, you were just going too slow then.
That was probably true.
No,
that was probably true. But I went faster after that happened.
Yeah,
I was like, there's something that happened that I was just like, I got a little extra now.
But sometimes you just need to wait. But yeah, the racer in me is telling you it's the responsibility of the rider behind to protect their wheel. As long as the guy in front doesn't make some super erratic movements,
that's my responsibility.
That's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And I've seen crashes that were really tough, but they were 100% the fault of the rider behind
the behind guy.
And that's always sometimes that's a hard conversation to have with somebody. Like, hey, like that was bad, but it really, and it probably felt crap, but it really was
your fault.
Your fault.
It's your responsibility. So if you have a bad experience on these rides, come back.
Yeah, but come back
more.
Learn. Yeah,
and you do
see
learn.
These experiences and
have relationships.
Mm-hmm.
This is a human being that likes riding. You like riding. You probably have more in common than you have not in common.
Yeah. And then this comes back to the development for all riders, but especially those that are athletes, right, or trying to go this competitive path. And I talk about this with our junior riders explicitly. Like, you need to be aware of when you fail. You need to know what your failure was, right? And you need to be okay with that, right? Like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to be out of position. And there are times when you cannot force something to make it better.
Yeah, you can't fix it.
You can't fix it. It's just not going to happen today.
Yeah.
Right? And there are times where you need to let that go. You can reset and try again on the same ride. You can reset and try again the next day. You can reset and try again in a month. What makes people resilient human beings, but especially resilient athletes, is this ability to identify when you have made a mistake, reset, and try again. If you don't appreciate those, you don't advance in the sport.
Heck yeah.
Or you get bogged down and you just feel crappy.
And sometimes it's not on.
Accept it.
You just pick the wrong wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a sprint, you have to understand who's in the sprint, right? Who you can hold a wheel. Like I don't take the first breakaway wheel because I'm not going to be able to sustain that for the duration of that sprint. So I don't want that first one.
Yeah.
I want that next one that's got distance from it. And then I don't want to be right behind it. I want to be 3 back.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe even 4. But I need to be on it.
Yeah.
If I don't jump on it and stay on it, I'm not going to be able to catch them. If there's like 3 or 4 links. So it's hustle, get on there, but knowing which one to get on, when.
Yeah. This is one of the things that I absolutely love about cycling is that there's absolutely strategy to this, but there's also this layer of a stochastic just randomness, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to the recent Paris-Roubaix race. If you watch that, like, it's one of the hardest races in the world. It's extremely hard to finish, extremely hard to win. Almost every single rider at the front of that race had something go wrong.
Flats, yeah.
Flat tires, mechanical issues.
It's cobblestone, right? A bunch of cobblestone.
This is an extreme example of it, but like that's cycling as a sport. Sometimes like you can do everything right and just be in slightly wrong position. You can do everything right and have a small mechanical at the wrong time. There's a random element of it that, there's no rhyme or reason. You're going to face that adversity.
These are things you'll learn on Violent Crown group rides. They're things you'll learn on any group ride, but Violent Crown offers a ton of them.
Sure.
So, and Violent Crown is good people to learn them with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a supportive nature here, too.
And you'll see the same faces over and over again.
Yeah.
I got friends, man.
Sure.
I got friends on them rides.
Absolutely.
That I really enjoy and that I have competitive spirit with.
I do. I will say back when we were like 170 or 180 members, which is about where we were when I took over as club president, I really felt like I could actually name all 180 people in the club. I was close. I was doing really well, I think. And I do think that's some of the best community leaders I've ever known make such an effort to remember everyone's names. And it's great. I can't keep track of 450 people anymore and I feel bad about it. But what I do love about Violet Crown though, is that, we have all of these rides in these niches. The bagel ride is one of these niches. The Tuesday, Thursday ride is a niche.
They're almost like their own siloed community. The bagel ride is different. I don't see as many of the bagel ride people on the Tuesday, Thursday, or the Sunday.
But, that's one of the things that, like, while we fall under the same umbrella, like, we have these little micro communities that are, all of them are a little bit different, but they have that friendly nature. They have the people that know your name, like pretty much no matter where you go in those groups. Like you do not stay anonymous on Violet Crown rides, and people will absolutely look for you. And if you come back after a year, they'll ask you by name where you been.
Yeah.
And people do come and go over the years, but a lot of times they come back and slot right back in. And so I love that element. So
this is one aspect, and we've talked about it quite a bit, this group ride, this recreational aspect.
Right.
And that's not all that Violent Crown does.
Right.
That's one. If I think of verticals, Violent Crown is, one of them is this recreational riding piece that we've talked about. And then I want to move to one of the other ones, and I'm going to say what I think the other two are, because I think there's probably 2 more verticals. One is racing.
Yep.
And developing people for racing.
Yep.
And the other one is advocacy.
Sure.
And Austin, is it? What are your? Is there a piece that's more about?
I'd say there's. We do several events that are in that kind of special event category, and some of that falls under racing, but not the race teams. So I'd say that's really like programmatically a bigger element. And then advocacy is one that kind of comes and goes. We don't always have an active advocacy presence. Like lots of our members do participate in Safe Streets Austin. It's probably the largest advocacy group in town right now. And we'll coordinate members around major infrastructure projects to submit public comment. But we don't often do a lot of the outreach and engagement there.
Okay.
Simply because there are these other organizations that are fully dedicated.
They're crushing it.
Oh, but they also, they show up to all the city meetings. They're on the Bicycle Advisory Council. Like, they are really...
So the verticals
they
for
stay
you
plugged
would be
in and pulled in.
Recreationally riding, racing, and then what? Events?
Yeah, and the events one has grown some in recent years, but those tend to be like, when I say events, like I'm thinking of we do a 4th of July ride that is a large community event. Well, you have 300 riders. We'll host a picnic afterwards.
Oh, that sounds
cool. It's about bringing people together. That one is open to members and non-members alike, but what's 6 times the size of a normal Sunday ride these days, and we'll spend several $1,000s on food. It's literally just about bringing people together.
Putting you're funding the food?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's worth the $45 right there.
Exactly.
Dang.
So I think not that we need to go into details, but like I think we spent $3,000 on that ride last year. But that's one of the few opportunities that we have to bring a really big cross section of the community together on we choose the 4th of July. Politically that's been both, I think many people feel that America is currently politically strained, but we like getting our community and our diverse community represented and together on that day to celebrate one little element of what we think is great.
Yeah.
So that's a fantastic opportunity for us. We also host the La Primavera Lago Vista bicycle race out northwest of town. And now we host at that a junior development race. That is a national caliber racing experience that's hosted by our club. It's funded in large part by our club and the Lead Out Foundation here in town. It has over 400 racers a day. It participates in the selection process for these young men and women to go on to the U.S. national team and hopefully one day to make it on to the Olympic teams. So that's a big part of what we do.
That's a huge event.
It's a large event.
People come from all over the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Last I counted, I think we had north of 27 states and multiple countries represented.
Wow.
In the last couple of years. And that goes back to the roots of that race too. That race has been going on for 50 some odd years, most recently under Don Hutchison, but it started around, I guess, late 70s and then really came to Lago Vista as preparation for the 1984 Olympic Games. I think it was 84. It was 86 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. But anyway, it started in that international competition space there in Lago Vista. But the club now rides that. That's one of the ways that we give back at a national level. And we've also invested a lot in these 15 to 18-year-old riders that are coming there to give them, the highest level experience we can.
That's your Violent Crown junior racers.
Team? Our race team is represented there. They're still chasing the tails of these national. Most of our Violet Crown riders, some of them are, and many of them are very talented.
Yeah.
A lot of them, like many of our men's and women's racers, are newer to the sport.
Okay.
They might have had 4 or 5 years. The kids at the front of the 18-year-old race fields have been racing for 12 years.
Oh, goodness.
They are incredibly talented. They are from across the nation. They have teams and support networks around them.
So this is the cream of the crop of America.
Yeah. And they're all the kids that come to these events. They're super nice. They're all fantastic kids.
Just because they're good riders doesn't mean they're mean.
Yeah, but the front of those fields and even deep in those fields, like they're really, really fast.
They're fast.
So it's incredible to watch. It's super rewarding. The club has loved doing that for those last 3 years.
So you do the 4th of July thing. It's not a race.
Not a race.
It's a group ride anybody can come to.
Right.
There's food. Lago Vista is a race.
Right.
And if you come there, you're probably going to get your tail whooped.
You might. You can also enter one of the more beginner categories.
You're going to get your tail whooped.
It's also one of the hardest race courses in America. That's why they like to select riders.
Really? Because of the hills?
Yeah, it's a circuit race on hills. The riders that rise to the top of that field after 2 days or 3 days of racing are riders that the U.S. national team can take over to Europe and see success on early races.
Wow.
A unique opportunity there, thanks to the geography and the willingness of the town of Lago Vista to host us there.
Yeah,
and the ambition of some very early riders out and a hotel manager in Lago Vista that brought it there.
Because you're riding through a neighborhood, right?
It was a very unique course. It's we have a great relationship with the neighborhood there, but it is, it's always a push and a pull. So there's those events. There's the Violet Crown Winter Tour, which depends on the year, how many days.
I did probably 5 or 6 of those this year.
Yeah, that's great.
It's 12 days.
12
right?
plus. It's varied.
Okay.
Largely, it's from a couple days before Christmas time, depending on when people get off work, particularly our ride leaders if they get off work, and then it goes through the end of the
New Year, right?
At least New Year. If New Year falls on a Friday, it might go through Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think we've had as many as 16 days. I think this year was particularly long. But yeah, that's like these daily rides, and they're all kind of at this, they'd call it a winter base pace mileage, but it's kind of, many people these days are trying to finish the Rafa Festive 500 by participating in those rides. Right. And so we've done some partnerships with the Rafa rides in town here too, on those rides.
Festive 500, you do 500 miles in
500 kilometers in 8 days.
So that's 60 times 5 is 300 miles.
Yeah, about 311 miles.
311 miles.
Yeah.
That's doable.
Yeah, it's very manageable, but people love to have a group to do it with.
The winter tours, if I remember correctly, there were about somewhere around 34 to 44 miles. We'd go up to Cedar Park and back.
They're longer on the weekends, but yeah.
Yeah. Because the bagel ride would be one of them.
Right.
So that's going to give you 54 to somewhere around there.
Yeah.
55.
Our goal in that event is oftentimes, one, bring together people in a time of year where oftentimes you have more free time and people want to get out of the house and experience some time off.
People might be looking for some break away from the old family.
Sure.
Get some
but we've talked a lot about consistency in riding. If you make an intentional, 1 or 2 weeks of riding, a moderate pace and a moderate distance every day, you can see a big fitness gain. So it sets up people very well for, oftentimes folks have these New Year's resolutions in January. This starts a little earlier than that.
It kickstarts it.
Yeah, it's a period for people to be intentional about their riding, and to come together for that period of time.
The winter tour is tons of fun, y'all. I did a handful of them and really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then we have a couple of other special events around the year. There's the Weberville Cyclocross Race, which again, it's one of the ways that we give back to the racing community. We host a cyclocross race about 30 minutes east of Austin. Cyclocross is this fun, weird blend of road cycling and mountain biking.
Cyclocross.
Tons of fun. It came with the presidency and then extended from there in terms of my passion for it. So I now do more races than that, but it's tons of fun. And then again, coming from our women's team, the women in our club have really been drivers of new initiatives in many ways over the last, particularly 6 years, but definitely, 8 years or more. Our women's team wanted to create an event celebrating the Tour de France Femme as a new event and this pinnacle of women's sport and racing. So it started off as a ride and a mock race or a practice race that they called the Tour de Austin Femme. It's been changing a bit in recent years, but it's had very formal clinics, including out at the driveway. This past year, we did a large supported group ride with many of the other women's groups in town, and then it finished at the 1972, which was a women's sports bar down off the drag by UT's campus. And so it turned this bigger celebration, and they got to watch the final tour stage of the women's Tour de France there. But it's this, women's sports are growing incredibly quickly. The amount of media attention paid to them is still catching up with the quality there. And then women are still fighting for, of course, equality in pay and opportunity and all these issues. But our women's team really said, again, to be intentional, they wanted to celebrate that as a community, but also use that as a stepping stone for encouraging more women locally to
ride bikes.
To ride bikes, but also try their hand at something competitive.
Yeah.
Many times I think the smaller a community is, the more intimidating it is to get started.
That's true.
So a lot of times in women's racing, even in the 4 novice field, you're showing up with 6 other people. And that's
small field.
That's a small field, but also like any difference in fitness and ability there, you very quickly can end up riding alone, whether it's off the front or off the back. as a male rider, like the earliest races I showed up to had 40 or 50 people in there. There's an anonymous nature to that, and also it's easier to sit in a group of 40 or 50.
Yeah.
So to encourage more women to show up and see that that field is friendly and welcoming, but also just to try it was one of their goals there. So that's been one of the newer growing events.
Yeah.
So that's that event vertical for Violet Crown. We do all of that. That'll be at the end of July.
The events are the 4th of July, the
La Primavera, Lago
Vista, the winter tour, and this
Weberville Cyclocross,
Weberville Cyclocross, and this women's
Tour de Austin Femme.
So basically, for women out there, if you are a woman or woman identifying and you want to ride bikes with other women, it sounds like there's a couple offerings here.
You definitely have some. You've got year-round opportunities to ride and race with the race team. You've got these coffee rides, and then there's this one-off event. And there are many other women's groups in town that are offering this. Breakfast Clubs does a Babes ride.
They do a Babes ride.
And there's the
we
team
can use
snacks.
more women's on the rides. There's always women on the rides, but the ratio is always it's more men to women.
The sports skews, and then also like. We have a lot of, we have several women.
The women
in the club.
crush. The women on those rides are really good, strong riders.
Oh, 100%. And many of them are also, like we've had in the last few years, more women that are stepping up and doing ride leadership roles, which I think is also really important. Like Ann Darcy led.
Ann Darcy crushes.
She's
a great rider.
Heal up and come back to us. She's got a skiing injury.
I haven't seen her in a while. That's why she hurt herself.
She hurt her knee skiing.
And we miss you.
But yeah, that's the other thing is like, I also think, I think it's good from a ride leading perspective to see a woman leading objectively, pretty quickly paced ride. There's some people that give her grief for doing that, but
she led some of those winter tour rides.
Oh yeah,
she did a great job.
But it's also it's good to see that to let people stand up and be that person. Yeah. So our women's team is very inspiring here at Violet Crown. We love them and we thank them for all their hard work. And I think you're going to get a chance to interview someone from the women's team later.
I hope so.
Okay.
You're going to we're going to get me in touch with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Many of them will talk to you, I'm sure.
Yeah. I get intimidated when I talk to ladies, especially strong bicycle ladies.
You shouldn't. They're all really nice people.
My hands will be sweaty. I'm just goofing off a little bit.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, so those are the verticals there.
And then the racing vertical.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about racing already. I feel like we have.
You've got groups that are specialized to racing, and they're separate from the recreation. Y'all meet.
Sure.
What do y'all meet and do racing? What do y'all do? How does that work? I saw an invitation to do it, and I thought maybe about doing it, and I didn't know. But you do need to be a member to do the racing teams, right?
Yes, you do need to be a member to be a racing team.
$45.
Yeah. And then we do, generally speaking, ask that people that are signing up for the racing teams know that they like racing, particularly on the men's side. If you haven't tried a race before,
you need to try a race before you do the racing team.
Look, we want to invest time and money in developing you. And we're very happy to do that for all of our club members and people that are in the community.
Yeah.
I think we have some of the friendliest racers in town. You don't need to be a member of the racing team to do your first race. Ask us for help. We will guide you. We'll mentor you, whatever. But yeah, we're looking for people that are willing to commit to a season of racing. Generally speaking, we look for about 10 races.
What's the commitment for someone in your race team? What do they do? Do they meet with the team once a week or... What's that? It
varies throughout the course of the year. So we look for about 10 race days of participation per year.
10 race days.
We'll focus on a few key events oftentimes that we'll encourage you to show up at. So like the major spring races. So Lago Vista, Pace Bend, state championship races, things of those nature. And then, throughout the year, we'll do smaller races, training races like at the Driveway Series. We'll do, cyclocross, mountain, gravel races are all things that have been coming into our, repertoire as a team. In part, as road racing has become less prolific, we've sought these other disciplines, both to stay sharp, but also just because it's fun to race all those disciplines and it's fun to be a multidisciplinary rider. And And then, we do ask you to be a representative of the club at all times as a member of the race team. So we like you to show up on rides. We like it if you show up on a ride that you're one of those people that is friendly and approachable and helps other people accomplish something that day, or ask you to be the guy that stops with the flat. And then we also ask you to come help us lead some of these major event rides. So like the 4th of July ride in particular, our men's team always shows up and leads the A group. So that's one of the commitments. On the junior side, we're a little bit more relaxed on the commitments, but we're encouraging you to get out and still hit those 10 race participations. For juniors, like, we want to help them support the goals that they set for themselves. So we're educating about the opportunities. A lot of them are coming from NICA and already have a strong season program, and they're just learning about road racing. So we're connecting with them with what the schedule looks like, because it can be hard to find a race sometimes. We might organize a camp weekend where we will travel with our juniors to a race, help them organize housing, and take 10 kids to race all at once, like we did with the Cedar Hill race this year up in the Dallas area, which was great. That one's actually hosted by a high school team up there in Dallas area. So yeah, but for them and for those kids, we're trying to get them to experience the sport as a pathway.
And then you got the coach, Mark Troy's doing that, right?
Yeah.
He's coaching them.
Yeah, and we've had a number of fantastic coaches. Before Mark, we had Christian House, which actually was, he went through our junior program back in the 90s, which was a very serious racing program, but they traveled all around the nation. And Christian ended up riding for the British National Road Racing Team.
Did we see him at Manana that day?
He actually.
You said hi? Yeah.
Yeah, he won a British National Road Race Championship title back in 2008.
That's pretty impressive.
I think that's the most accomplished Violet Crown junior rider ever there. But he came back and coached our kids team, our junior team, for a number of years. Mark's the latest coach here, and Mark brings this passion to getting, and that's a large part what the kids need, is somebody that's enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Give them some guiding rails.
He's got tons of skill and experience. Yeah,
exactly. And then to funnel them towards racing, give them that Overwatch support.
If one enjoyed the recreational rides, went a lot, found themselves really plugging into the community, where would be the first? I'm asking for myself too, because if I wanted to get further into the community, this seems like that avenue is to start racing. I mean, you don't have to.
You can pick your race, but sure.
But what would be a good first race for someone to do to get that experience?
So again, this depends very much on.
Probably not Lago Vista, dude.
It's probably not Lago Vista. We do offer a dedicated novice field at Lago Vista. It is a tough race. That said, a lot of novices do like it because, quite frankly, it can be a race that's so hard that if you're strong and you feel good, you can have good results without having to be super strong on the tactical side. But no,
what's the elevation gain on that one?
To be honest, I don't remember. It's not insignificant. He's not
telling you guys.
It's not insignificant. It is a hard race.
It's not 11,000 though.
So I wouldn't. No, it's not 11,000. It's
not a Tour das Hugel.
No, it's not a Tour das Hugel. But your first racing, right? If you want to do your first race on the road, Thursday nights at the Driveway Series are a great way to do it.
Is this the crit?
Yeah, it's a crit.
Criterium?
The corners are a little bit difficult, but they're soft for criterium standards.
I got scared of the crit because a buddy of mine, Trevor, said that he was excited about racing, and he either witnessed a big crash or he was in a big crash, and then he never went back. And
crashes are an inevitable part of racing.
They're a part of racing.
One of the things that I like about Driveway any race in any Cat 5 race, novice first time race, you might have a crash.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes the Driveway a good place to have your first race, and even to have a first major crash, is that they have a medical team on site.
Yeah.
They usually have a gator. Very few places in the nation will you ever race where there's a medical at your side within 2 minutes.
And there is a Driveway.
So does that mean that they haven't had bad crashes out there? Absolutely not. There have been horrific crashes just about every race that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Right.
So crashing is a part of racing.
It is. It's not. It's not something to be glorified or to be. It's not an inherent part. Most nights, nothing happens. Right. Most races, nothing happens. Every once in a while, something happens. for the most part, like the first time I crashed in a race, I just had road rash, right? Have I broken my collarbone in a road race? Yes. Yeah. Have I seen other people break bones? Yes. But, these are relatively rare. So what I usually tell people is they're showing up to their first race is to plan at sitting like kind of near the back of the group and just going with the flow and learning about it.
Stay on the back of the wheels.
Yeah, just follow the back of the pack, find the steady wheels, and to do that. And that's good advice no matter what road race you're doing as a starter. That's a really good one. If you're interested in trying like gravel racing to get started there's no better place than Brett Kinsey and Capital City Racing run a fantastic spring and fall gravel series. They have various different distances. It can be a really good way to just go out there and experience that. And then there's local road racing. I host the Jacobs Well Classic. There used to be some other races in that space as well, but there are plenty of beginner, longer road races to chase after. And then in the cyclocross world, I think cyclocross is one of the really easy ones to get started with. But Violet Crown leads a series of clinics, usually in September or October, and then weekend racing starts. And just like in crits, your beginner race there's 30 minutes long. And the hardest part there is learning how to get on and off your bike and navigate some corners. But yeah, just doing those things, like again, just showing up as your first
doing a race.
Yeah.
As opposed to picking the easiest race or the best race, just like doing
to be honest,
a race.
The other really good thing to do your first time for any of these is just go watch it, right? That's another thing, like Driveway, you can go watch every Thursday night.
Do you organize the Driveway stuff or
no.
Just someone with Violent Crown? Or
No. So the Driveway series is run by Chris Tolley and Matador Racing. Okay. And then it was really popularized by Andrew Willis and Holland Racing through the 2008 through 2019 era. So it's one of the longest running races in America. So yeah, no financial relationship there. Just a great race series.
Yeah.
And a good
go watch it.
Yeah.
Is it happening now?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing Thursdays?
Yep. They'll take a small break in the summer and move to some Saturday racing. And I don't know the full schedule on that.
But you can volunteer, right? You can volunteer and they'll let you race.
I know there are some volunteer credits. The best place to look there would be to look at their website.
Look it up. I've never been, surprisingly enough. I should go and watch it.
Again, the other thing that makes that accessible, at least for road standards, is that it's off the Walnut Creek Bike Trail, Southern Walnut Creek Bike Trail, so you can ride over pretty easily from Austin. And then there's groups riding home to most parts of town from that, so you can usually pick up a group ride on your way back to your house. So it makes it fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a really low barrier to entry there. And you can volunteer. I think they also have volunteer information on their website and get some kind of credit towards
I think it'd be cool to do a race.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I'm intimidated by it.
Sure. And
because I've been on hard group rides.
Sure. And that was one of the things that I loved about collegiate racing. And I probably wouldn't be in bicycle racing if it had not been for collegiate racing and the category D field that they offered then, because it was, so welcoming and so relatively easy. Like I'm not saying it was easy. Like I still trained to be there, but man, super participatory. And it was cheap. I think if you signed up for the races individually, it was like $20.
Whoa, dude.
So it was really...
That's really approachable.
Yeah. And that's where Driveway has a free women's racing right now, by the way, if you're interested in the women's field.
If you're a woman, you want to race the Driveway, it's free.
Yeah.
Probably want to increase that field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also... USA Cycling is also involved in many of these sports. If you're in the gravel world, you can pretty much just sign up and go to a race. Many of the cyclocross races are the same. If you're doing a sport that's governed by USA Cycling, which is largely road, there is a license requirement there. So
that's why it has a cost?
Yeah. So if you buy like an annual racing license, I think it's the total value or total cost to you is about close to the $70 mark.
Okay.
But you can buy a one-day racing license. And I can't remember your first time doing that is like 10 or $15. So it may not be free for you. It might be 10 or $15, but that's still, you already own the bike, you already own the helmet and the shoes and the kit. I'm not going to say cycling is a cheap sport.
Money. Yeah. It costs money.
But $15 to try a race, I think
that's reasonable.
I think it's worth doing. And I also think it's, if you do some of these larger gravel races, I also think it's worth the money. Pretty much pretty much no matter what race you enter, you're getting the dollar value out. The sad thing is that racing is more expensive to host these days. So that cost, particularly for beginner races, has gone up significantly since I started. But it's still, relatively affordable in the cycling world. Like, if you compare yourself to triathlon, which might be $200 is a cheap triathlon.
Dude, an Ironman, it's like $1,000.
Sure. And most...
Can you believe that?
I mean, I can.
$1,000 to kill yourself out there. You're paying $1,000.
I mean, but again, you have this sense of accomplishment. And then also, the support at any of these events is worth it.
Do you get the tattoo included with that?
I don't know about that. No, tattoos are expensive these days too.
Yeah.
But for cycling, your most expensive road races, especially on the domestic race scene, so like local races, you're usually not paying more than $85 a day, which is not expensive. If you sign up early, it's oftentimes between $50 and $70.
Early bird discount.
In the entertainment world these days, that's relatively a cheap day out. And I think it's a fantastic experience. I think, it's not for everyone, but you will push yourself harder in a race than you will just about anywhere else.
I think that'd be cool.
And I think everyone leaves a race with a story. It's not always the story you wanted to tell, but it's a good story.
Speaking of leaving a race with a story, I wonder if you have any racing stories you'd like to share as we come to the conclusion of this conversation.
Oh, man.
How could we leave this race with a story?
You want to tell us a race story, or do you want a story like a Violet Crown story?
Whatever story you feel compelled to tell. Do you have one? Your favorite race, or your most memorable experience?
Well, again, I think we've talked a lot about racing here, so I'm very tempted to go off the racing path.
Okay.
And talk about something else. But this is the thing. Now, I've been in the sport now for 12-ish years, seriously. And I'll say, like, you have, after 12 years of going out and doing these adventures together, you'll build up all kinds of stories. So like I'm thinking through like my first 100-mile ride where two friends and I, like Sean Liu and Preston Glace, we rode to Wimberley, and it was cold and it was raining. We stopped for coffee to warm up, and none of us wanted to leave, and we were shivering on the side of the road. Epic experience. I don't know if I need to repeat it, but first 100 miles was checked off that way. I'm thinking
going to Wimberley. Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful route. Just not a beautiful day to do it. But it was Sean's birthday, so we had to do it.
Aww. Yeah.
And I can't remember, it might have been Sean's first century as well, but certainly my first century. But anyway, that's one side of the community. I'm also thinking about, like, I had this 4-day bike packing trip in Vermont with a friend of mine named Phil. I'd never gone bike packing before, and within about 10 minutes of leaving the door of the Airbnb we had stayed at the night before, we were like hauling our bikes over like fallen logs in the middle of this road with signs saying "road washed out, go no further." And we did that for 4 days straight on these.
Y'all went further.
Yeah, I mean I'm not saying it was smart. We were following one of these bikepacking.com routes. And they certified you can get through, and we could get through.
You did,
but we experienced many challenges over the course of 4 days there. And then we were doing this other ride while we were there. We joined a group of recreational riders that were honestly just crazy people that from a bike shop that had started a ride that went from the Canadian border all the way south to Massachusetts along Vermont Highway 100. They called it the 200 on 100 because the total distance was about 200 miles.
Yeah.
And they did it on the summer solstice, so it was the longest day of the year. Then we used every minute of daylight to finish that ride that day.
Wow.
And we did that with a friend of mine, David Sandvik. There's many Davids in cycling world too. We're all great people. Come meet a David. But David had not been riding his bike very much. He was supposed to train for this, and he did not train enough, but had trained sufficiently that he did his longest ride ever that day, 160 miles. I would have been absolutely destroyed had I gone from zero to what he was doing. But even though he didn't finish the 200, we had this huge champion moment for him in doing that.
Yeah.
And that was also like this great experience for me, but also like what a celebration to have there. Yeah. And then, I've had all these other fantastic rides. Like I've seen, mountains in New Mexico, you can watch storms roll in from miles and miles away, and you might get hit by one and be sheltering under a sign on the side of the road, and then it clears up and is beautiful later. But there's a passage of time, and there's a scale and a speed at which you approach things on a bike when you're exploring your world that is very approachable.
Yeah.
And I think that more than anything else, I mean, there's the social elements, there's the competitive elements. It's that exploration, that experience, that bite-sized nature of cycling that keeps me coming back.
Moving through time and space at a speed that seems like you can be here now and experience it.
Yeah.
It's in cars and trains and planes, like you're going too fast to experience it at that granularity. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you could fly over a mountain and be like, that's a big mountain. But if you're on a bike, you're going to be in that mountain for a while and you're going to experience it. Yeah.
And every discipline of cycling I have participated in has some element of that to it. The most derived of them are the crit racing and the cyclocross, where you're together and your battles are more internal.
Yeah.
But even then, like the ebb and flow of the road or the track, just when it clicks and you understand it and you enter that kind of flow state, it's still, how you're moving through space and time is fascinating to me.
It's beautiful.
And that also, like, I think that kind of connects back to we started off talking as an environmental scientist. Like,
oh yeah.
I love problems of scale and breaking the world down into these little components, and cycling is like one of the ways in which I like to chop it up into something that's super interesting. So
I think about one of my best friends. His name's Daniel. Shout out Daniel. He lives in Colorado, and we'll go out to Moab. He loves mountain biking.
Mm-hmm.
I probably do more road riding than mountain biking, although I'm down to mountain bike. Anybody wants to mountain bike, holler at me. I'll mountain bike with you. But I just tend to do more road riding. And I went out there, and he was like, we do cool big rides in Moab. And one of them he wanted to do, and I wanted to do too, not knowing what kind of a mouthful I was biting off that I would later have to chew, was the whole enchilada. Have you heard of this?
There's a ride of this in Austin.
No,
the whole enchilada.
Oh no,
too.
There's the enchilada buffet.
Oh, the enchilada buffet.
In Austin, but in Moab,
similar theory though, right?
It's called the whole enchilada.
Okay, tell me about it.
You take a bus up to the top of the La Salle Mountains. It's like an hour and a half ride. You're just up to the top of this mountain.
Yeah.
And then you get on your bike, and then you ride another 1,000 feet of elevation up to, I think it's Burro Pass. And then this is where your humble host here got his first experience of downhill mountain biking. Trial by absolute fire, right? It's one of the most prestigious downhill rides in the country.
Yeah.
I was like, green. I hadn't even gone to Spider Mountain, dude.
And you made it?
I'm here today with you.
How much of it did you walk?
I definitely walked some of the features. I think what I did more than walk, I think I walked a handful of features. But I think what I did more than that was slow down.
Yeah.
And then take these corners that I saw people just crushing through. And I would just slow down and kind of take this real gingerly pace and get out of the way for them, because they were like, oh, those people are maniacs. If you're a downhill mountain biker, you're a maniac, okay? And I've got a little bit of that mania in me, because by the end of it, by the bottom of that mountain, I was like in the zone on it. I was rolling over these long drop-offs. I was just like, just living it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Sorry, I'm smiling here because, like, even over the course of a single ride, right? Like you build, like you've thrown yourself in the deep end.
Yeah.
And then you're going from like walking some things to like riding more and more and more. Like
in the course of a day.
Yeah.
It was 34 miles of downhill mountain biking, which is a lot. But you're right. Over the course of one day, this amoeba became like a multi-celled organism, became like someone who could ride this thing and felt confident.
Yeah.
And had a ton of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And also like you had that ability close to being in you like at the beginning of the
ride.
Right.
I had it. I just didn't know it.
Yeah, but you can assemble this and do something that like at some points you probably thought that wasn't possible or like.
Oh, I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Those people were doing on those bikes. I didn't think that was.
Yeah,
but we're doing this now. I mean, like.
I choose this area of my life to experience a lot of this. I think you can experience this in other sports. You can experience it in other disciplines. But like that's one of those qualities that like I love being with people when they're experiencing that. And I love experiencing that in myself. Like,
me too.
You have this moment where like things just put together. I don't know if you crashed on that ride, but you can crash on the middle of those and still pick up and have a great day.
That's right.
And that's that you find something in you that you didn't know existed.
I'm sure I did crash on that ride at least once.
Sure. I'm also laughing because I can think of all of these epic rides that were like something's, like I said, there's things go wrong.
I don't remember the crashes though, but I do remember these, like you said, these moments of flow state, of just moving through space and time, of the different flora and is it fauna? Which one's animals? One's plants. The different plants at the different altitudes on that mountain. Oh, and how it changed as I had descended this mountain all the way down to the bottom and then rode those bikes into town.
Yeah. We were talking about, you're asking me about like a summary experience, like one of my favorite bike rides again here. Like I started in Tucson, and if you're listening here, I'll tell stories endlessly. So this is another one of them in conclusion here. But I started a ride in Tucson. It was on my way back from California to Texas. So I was moving back to Texas, and I wanted to stop and experience Mount Lemmon. It's one of these famous rides. As a geologist, it also has very varied terrain. You're going from desert and saguaro cactus through mountains up to ski resort and coniferous forest that sees like 10 feet of snow, 11 feet of snow every year, a tremendous amount of precipitation. So you go through these different ecological regions. Yeah. It's a 26-mile climb up there, but it's just vastly different worlds that you're passing through. Yeah. The geology is different. So you're seeing all these layers in the rock and and then I got to the top and there was a massive storm. So, I spent time sheltering in the like gift shop for the Forest Visitor Center, the National Forest Visitor Center up there. I bought dry clothes there, and then I descended the mountain, and I was one of the coldest times I've ever been on the bike. I ended up going to the front desk of the hotel I was staying at and just saying, like, can I have an extra hour here because I am frozen and I cannot pack my bag. And they were very accommodating of that. But I did not succeed in finishing all of Mount Lemmon that day, but I still had a fantastic experience. I saw this part of the world. I saw these challenges. I saw life, flora and fauna, and I was also humbled, and I made it.
Humbled.
So it's, and there is a vulnerability to being on a bike that, you got to be prepared, but you're out there in the elements experiencing things really too. And that also is, a good reminder to your human nature. Like cycling is man and machine, but man is always, the first thing.
We're the fragile one.
Yeah, oftentimes.
In that situation. What comes to mind is an invitation for folks to bite off more than they can chew. Yeah. And within reason, right? But you can do more than you think you can. Yeah. And when you do it, you expand your awareness of what's humanly possible. Yeah. And there's a real beauty in that. There's an empowerment in that. This is something that transcends gender, whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you don't identify as either. This is something that is human, and I think it's important.
Yeah, I think, there's a call to witness, right? Just go experience life through a bike one day. We're talking about that one corner of it specifically, but
you can do it in a lot of ways. We're talking about it through a bike, and definitely come and do it through a bike at the Violent Crown stuff.
Yeah,
but if you don't do it with Violent Crown or with the bike, find your way of doing it. You know,
should we start plugging the running groups, the hiking group?
Like I love doing 14ers. I love mountain climbing. I love biking, but another way that I do this, bite off more than I can chew, and witness and be in nature, immersed in it, and fragile, is climbing 14ers.
Man, that's another tough
14ers,
sport.
Man. Get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Or run, or just realize there's more than what you think with regard to your limitations.
Yeah. And also, like, well, just plug here. It doesn't have to be through sport, right? Like this is equally life applicable to your life outside of sport, right? Like it might be a new hobby you want to try. It might be, something you want to do for work. It might be something you want to do with your family, right? Or your partner. Like all these things, like I think the skills you learn pushing those elements are all things that can be really beneficial. Cycling is one way to practice that element, and then you take those skills and apply them everywhere.
Yeah.
So I encourage that.
Yeah. You have any final thoughts for our viewers here, David?
And for my third conclusion, I want to thank you for the time and bringing me on here to talk about Violet Crown. And I hope you get to, I hope all of you guys get a chance to come out and experience the Violet Crown ride or one of our community events, or heck, just join us for the picnic one day. I hope you learned something talking with Jay or one of the women's team members.
Yeah, y'all go check out the other folks that I talked to.
Yeah.
It's going to be, this is part of my Violent Crown kind of series / Austin cycling series. So yeah, I really do appreciate you. This has been Phil Phails at probably Violent Crown part 2 or whatever. If Jay was part 1, no parts, just one of my Violent Crown talks.
Yeah, I mean, Umbrella, you could edit us all together. One mega story.
We do. I'm going to do a round table where everybody kind of talks over each other and we get all the nooks and crannies filled in by other people reminding each other of different things. I'm really excited to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be cool.
Also, as much as you can dive into everyone's individual experiences with Violet Crown, I do think like it's the umbrella.
It's a community.
It's the umbrella that makes Violet Crown what it is.
It's a community, and I think the round table would be able to showcase the community of it all, and I'm excited to do that. So watch those videos too. So this has been Phil Phails at Violent Crown. My guest has been the president of Violent Crown, David Comer.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for watching, and wave. You can wave to the people that aren't here. They're going to be in there. That's a wrap. Thanks, dude.
Absolutely. Thanks, Phil.
That was fun. We can shake it up. Hell yeah.